Ladies and gentlemen, our conference will be starting in 3 minutes. Please take a comfortable seat and get ready to enjoy our insightful conversation today. Thank you. Đã join vào ấy chưa? Đã join vào webinar chưa? Có thể là do cái mic ở trong đấy. Tí nữa mở video thì mở lọc lên nhé. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the High Level Summit, Enhancing the Innovation Ecosystem to the Next Level, hosted by the International Village as part of TECHFEST Vietnam 2020. Wow, just a little bit formal, huh? So let's get it more cozy and warm today, so we feel both hot and warm and cozy and cool. I'm Kati Chen, co-founder and COO Ohana. Today I'm very happy to be back to my hometown, Hanoi, and welcome and accompany all of you in our conference today. So firstly, thank you for spending your valuable time with us today. I would like to tell you a little bit about our international village today. Some facts and figures so that you know what we have done to prepare for the TechFest 2020. So in TechFest 2020, we have the valuable support and contribution of 2 embassies, 20 VCs, accelerators and incubators, 30 international speakers from nearly 20 countries, nearly 40 cooperation partners with the participation of 50 media partners, 20 exhibition booths, and a bunch of marketing campaigns on social media. We also carry a series of more than 10 interviews and 4 online webinars with business leaders, experts from VCs, venture builders, incubators, and startups. So now I would like to invite you to watch the following video with some of the moments in our interviews, both online and offline. locally. And in another interview, I saw Mr. Thành Nguyễn, CEO of Amplify Vietnam. Are you today? Yeah. He was standing like this, like a celebrity, yeah, in the Sofitel, in a hotel in Ho Chi Minh City where we recorded the interview with him. So with the mission of connecting resources to bring Vietnam innovation ecosystem to the world and vice versa, our village today has been trying to connect embassies, business chamber representatives, business leaders and experts from multi-countries. So this morning, we have the high-level innovation ecosystem summit, dialogue forum about innovative entrepreneurial policy, with the participation of our two special guests, Ms. Anne Moore, Her Excellency's Ambassador from Embassy of Sweden to Vietnam, and Mr. Marty Tevel, Counselor of Development and Economics, Embassies to Finland to Vietnam. So, and besides, we are very grateful to have international special guests to join our conference today. It's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Johan Arnvin, First Secretary and Head of Trade Promotion, Economic and Political Affairs from Embassy of Sweden. Ms. Sandra Whiteroth, Trade Officer, Embassy of Sweden. Mr. Phạm Tùng Lâm, Media, Communications and Political Advisor, Embassy of Sweden. Mr. Sean Lee, CEO of SM Sino Technology Investment. Mr. Tommaso Andretta, Vice Chairman, Europe Cham Vietnam, and Chairman of Intelsat San Paulo, Indochina. Mr. Tai Van Loon, Founder and CEO of Better Works Asia, EIR Swiss EP. Mr. Nguyễn Thành Danh, Country Managing Director, Basin Healthcare France in Vietnam. Mrs. Lê Mỹ Nga, CEO of Omesh Management. Mr. Thành Nguyễn, Founder and CEO, Amplify Vietnam. Mr. Trung Đình, Founder and CEO, EPG. Okay. Mr. Lê Trung Thông, Founder and CEO, Lagum Vietnam. Yeah, and my two new buddies, Mr. Paul Espinasse, Founder and CEO, Up, 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 and Move Up. Yeah, and next to him, Mr. Jamie Duncan, Head of Learning and Development Management, Up, Up, Up. And okay, thanks, Miss Lena. So today we are very happy, and it's our pleasure to have Mr. Vũ Minh Lý, Deputy Director of Media, Ministry of Resource and Environment. And we also have the pleasure to welcome the following speakers to join us online. Actually, they are joining us on the live stream now, and maybe they are hearing and seeing us here. I would like to introduce Mr. Anurag Malu, the Head of Partnership of Sistar Asia Pacific. He's joining us in Keynote 4, and he's in India right now. Mr. Tony Wheeler, CEO and founder of Imaginext Ventures from Australia. Mr. C.K. Viswakarma, founder and CEO of All Things Connected from Singapore. And Dr. Andrei Golub, General Manager for Italy and Head of AI, M&S R&D at Icon Group from Italy. Wow, there's a bunch of special guests today. Oh. And there's three people that I could not miss today. So they are the head and co-head of International Village. It's my pleasure to introduce Miss Selena Lê, Managing Director, founder of WCF, Impact Venture Builder, and TECHFEST Vietnam. Yeah, and another co-head who is taking care of our tech things, Mr. Tuấn Ngô, founder and CEO of Sinh Online. And Mr. Cường Stewart, Chairman and founder of Best B Capital. He would like to send his grace to all of you guys today. And now I would like to invite Miss Selena, Head of International Village, to give the opening speech.
I'm a little bit nervous because the audience all very great, and I'm excited at the same time because if you see the topic, it's so strange, it's not so interesting. It's not talking about investment or VC, we're talking about innovation ecosystem, something very big scale and boring. But wise, at the role of one founder and manager director of WCF, a venture builder, it means we're including incubator, we're including investment, and training for young founder to scale to show the problem of society. I'm working 5 to 7 years in innovation ecosystem in Vietnam and some other country in Asia and Europe, and I realize we're lacking a lot of everything. Of course, we have been only for a year like young baby. 2016, we official launching innovation ecosystem for the nations, and then we start from that moment. We apply some other program from Finland, from Korean, from Europe, from American. But we still a baby. We still learn every day. We still try every day. We fall every day. We win little bit. Some people humble, some people so proud. And I'm working, supporting startup a lot, and I still learning a lot. And I see, if we want our younger brother and sister and startup to go global, to tackle the bigger problem, we have to be improving ourselves first. We have to learn first. We have to learn from the other already bigger developer. So I launching this program with my team, amazing team. We working, we laughing to each other with the other co-organizer, with the other partner and friend, and the student to support her today and around 2 months already. Working around, this room very small, but our dream is bigger. And I know your time very valuable to join us today. And after this, I hope you guys bring a lot of things, value and talk that how can you get out of room and you make Vietnam better place. You make your country happier, wealthier. I don't mention about money and economics because people know how to make money, but helping young people to be happier. So enhancing the innovations ecosystem to the next level. Why? Because we always asking startup to do something bigger, to get out the border. But do we have them, do we give them tools and guide and supportive way and solution for them? Do we do that? We're asking a lot, but we don't support much. At a role of incubator, accelerator, also a venture builder. We work direct with them. It means we take every slide with them, not only talking or training with them. We come to their factory, we come to their lab, we come to their office to hand on hand with them every day. That's why people tell me, why are you working so hard? Why you have to spend so much time? I say, if we cannot help them with that way, don't ask them to go bigger or go fly further. So that is our statement that we are the same team. Even the partner, even the co-organizer, with anyone, we are same team. With the other investment partner, we say we are same team because we have the goal, vision to go together. So today we bring embassy, we bring investment. We have Phoebe, we have SMC no investment from Korean. We have the government. Mr. Quat gonna join later from NATEC, And from Eurojam, why Eurojam have more than 1,000 businesses in Vietnam, and how can we collaborate? Why we in Sweden? Sweden not only are developed countries, but they are one of the best, happiest country in the world. So there's something we can see the reason why our team choose this, why NATEC uploaded to choose this topic and the people, because we make something new. We make this room happier and enjoying and laughing together. So in this room, I hope you guys gonna smile more and sometime talking with your neighbor and shake hand, and after work maybe some connection after this small conference today. I think my talk already lasts long, and there's some work could be stay in your mind already now, and I will give the micro to my team. And let me again say thank you so much for Sweden Embassy team supporting a lot, Eurojam and SMCNO, and my amazing team, Muab, Ohana, Singtui, and Besby, and the other. Every day send to me, is it okay? Do you need help? Selena, I say, you guys already amazing. You support us a lot. And Mr. Hồng Quất from NATEC, Director of NATEC. Thank you, anh. Thank you so much. And then and Mr. Thang, Director of Deputy of NSC, National Startup Support Center. And I will give back the micro for the owner of TECHFEST, the guide of TECHFEST and the leader of TECHFEST. Mời anh lên phát biểu ạ.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you so much for the distinguished speakers and startup. Today I'm very happy to make the TechFest happen even in the COVID dynamic. Many other countries, even in Singapore, in Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, wish to do something like that, but we never cannot. We should link to webinar. But in Vietnam, thanks to the government and partly from the new technology from the startup, they help the government can control effectively the COVID. This also the individual, the corporation with the supporter, the mentors, big corporation, very important in this ecosystem. And from the government views, the university is also play very important in ecosystem because they produce the human resources for startup. So that's why we organize the TechFest in NEU this year. And we continue our strategy to expand the new model, new thinking, new technology for the young, the talents. It's important, our supporters. So the international village, the chief village here is very important, place important to link all the resources internationally and domestically to support for ecosystem. So in TechFest, we say village because it's a custom, traditional custom. Encourage in spirit other people, citizens in one village, in one group, to interact, to help each other, to support each other, even in the poor, in the dynamics, even in the flood, in the climate change. We should have together to think out the new solution. So this is also the topic today in TechFest and International Village. So I wish all can have something to contribute to the ecosystem in Vietnam. And we will have the good discussion and good connection after TechFest. And wish you all successful and good health in pandemic. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you much for your time. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Phạm Hồng Quất. So in the past 6 weeks, our team of International Village has worked with heart and soul for the two-day conference. I follow Miss Selena, and I know that she has slept for around 3 hours per night for the past 6 weeks. So Selena, actually you deserve a huge dinner tonight, and as I have supported you for the last 6 weeks, I will support you in that dinner too. Maybe you have one.
I only represented my team. You know, they working hard and make me happier. And I think the International Village one work united. We have one work only. Đoàn kết, the one thing. And we are so happy to join. And people are so happy. We laugh more than we work. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Miss Selena. Yeah, just like Miss Selena say, we have a very united and strong team. But this conference and all of our activities cannot be possible without the valuable contribution of our partners. Yeah. So I would like to show our gratitude and invite the following organizations and people to the stage to receive the letter of thanks from our head of International Village. So I would like to invite representative of the International Francophone Institute, Embassy of Sweden to Vietnam, European Chamber of Commerce in Vietnam, representative from Ohana, Amplify Vietnam, Move Up, SM Sino Technology Investment, Vietnam Yacht Cruise, and M&M Production House. So I would like to invite you to the stage. Yeah, and Miss Selena will send to you the letter of thanks. It seems I am in the list too, so I am so nervous. Thank you. Yeah, and besides the valuable contributions of the organizations, we also need to give special thanks to our speakers and partners who have spent their valuable time to support us. So I would like to invite a long list of speakers to the stage now. Mr. Tommaso Andretta, Vice Chairman, Eurocham Vietnam, Chairman of Intesa Sanpaolo in Indochina. Mr. Johan Arnvin, First Secretary and Head of Trade Promotion, Economic and Political Affairs, Embassy of Sweden. Mr. Sean Lee, Vietnam Director of SM Sino Technology Investment. Mr. Martin Kim, Vietnam Director, Shinhan Futures Lab. Mr. Peter Chun, CEO ARKI Labs X&G. Mr. Olivier Rosin, founder and CEO Phoebe Ventures. Mr. Tai Van Loon, founder and CEO Better Works Asia, EIR Switch EP Vietnam. Mr. Quentin Frecken, CEO School Lab Asia. Mr. Phạm Tuấn Hiệp, Director BK Holdings. Mr. Nguyễn Thành Danh, Country Managing Director, Basin Healthcare France in Vietnam. Mr. Lê Mỹ Nga, CEO Match Management. Mr. Hùng Trần, founder and chairman Got It and Steam for Vietnam Foundation. Mr. Thành Nguyễn, founder and CEO Amplify Vietnam. Mr. Nguyễn Võ Kim Khôi, CEO Vietnam Yacht Cruise and Food Travel. Mr. Trung Đình, founder and CEO EPG. Mr. Lê Trung Thông, founder and CEO Lagum Vietnam. Mr. Paul Espinas, founder and CEO Up and Move Up. Mr. Jamie Duncan, Head of Learning and Development Management, Up. Wow, and the last is me. Let me join you. Với em là phiếu bé ngoan. Thank you, chị. That's all. Thank you so much. Thank you for your valuable contribution to International Village. Yeah, that's a very nice opening. And now I would like you to enjoy the keynote one. European businesses and Viet startups, how to collaborate, from Mr. Tommaso Andretta, Vice Chairman of EuroCham Vietnam.
First of all, good afternoon, and I had decided to be very low-tech, so no slides, no fast captions, but actually an articulated speech that I wrote word by word, and I shall try to stick to it for some, hoping that it is possible to follow also online. Representative of Monre, entrepreneurs, organizers, and ladies and gentlemen. The world after the pandemic is not going to be the same. It's the biggest change is probably going to be less reliance on global value chains. The world is going to divide into big zones, each of which is going to try and be semi-independent. This is going to be a big impact on logistics, on production, and on all the economy everywhere. And in all of this, people will of course remember that Vietnam has been faring some of the best countries for keeping the pandemic out of the borders. Travel will eventually resume, but the habits of having webinars and not meeting as frequently is going to stay. It's going to be influencing companies, pushing for more work from home, from more distance work, for offices where people don't stay all the time, for less travel to meet customers. And adjusting to this is going to be difficult, and it's going to create a lot of problems. And probably services to improve that situation is an area that promises to be, unfortunately, important for surviving in the future. E-commerce has in Southeast Asia, e-commerce has already reached the level that we were expecting it to reach in 2025. The pandemic has sped the clock of economic development and of the diffusion of technology, of modern distribution faster than it was expected. And it's not going to go back. People having learned how to order food from home will continue to do that. And the strength of e-commerce and of services distributed at a distance is going to become ever more important. So the many of you who are investing or preparing to offer services in these fields, be ready for a big pool of interest and of demand. Liquidity is at a unusual high. All the world's central banks have been throwing money out without control. And the stock exchanges are full of liquidity and at very high levels that are abnormal. We don't know if this is going to be the new norm or there's going to be a very painful correction. But do know that at the moment, there is a lot of money out there that is available. All the rich countries have pretended and have kept people spending by printing new money. And some of that money is likely to be trickling all the way to here. But, and here comes the question of talking about Europe. Europe is far away. After a year of not being able to see my family, it really is feeling painful. And the problems and the issues and the way things are happening over there, even to me, feel far away. So imagine how it is for companies that are not able to send their technicians, their managers, their people exploring the market, and so much more when it comes to dealing with startups. So do expect that Europe will be interested in Vietnam, should be interested, but its interest will be specific and qualified. There are three main types of financial investors that are relevant for us. One is the companies that have branches in Southeast Asia, Singapore usually, the other countries of ASEAN. These people work pretty much like local venture capitalists, and you can treat them the same way. Then there are the companies that are working from home, and these are only going to see the companies that are already bigger and more ready to enter the markets. They are going to be particularly interested in companies that have a service or a product that is ready to be expanded to Europe, because in the end, that is where our big market is, and that is where our interest is, and where our strength is. So while the first group will be interested in you the way you are, the second group is going to be interested only if you have something specific to offer. The third group is state and supranational entities that give support to small enterprises and innovative enterprises in the area, from the European Investment Bank, the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, the European Union. Many states, including Sweden, of course, have programs to help developing knowledge, developing contacts, developing connection and markets for small enterprises. Finally, strategic investors that are non-financial. Companies that need your products to grow. You need your products to sell them in other places. So they will give you the distribution. These are industrial companies, and these are the vast majority of the 1,000 companies that are making Eurocham up, for example. If you want to approach one of our companies, you would do it with the thought of asking, what is it that you need? What can I, not saying I'm a promising way of making money, but is there some way in which my product fits into your big strategy? Communication becomes very important, the capability of being very clear about what it is that you are doing, what it is that you are offering, is crucial, and will make the difference in the first place in giving you a chance of being of interest talking to them. One thing that you have to keep in mind is Europeans are very concerned about well-being, the well-being of people, the well-being of society. A lot of especially the public money will be tied to helping achieving some, if not a majority, of the sustainable development goals. It is ever more important to investors and to consumers to know that the value chain, that the structure of the company that they are buying services from or being involved with is treating its employees well, is clean, is carbon neutral, and all of these things are way beyond what today is expected of a company in Vietnam. But keeping in mind these goals and already moving from the early stages in this direction should really help your companies to be having an edge over competitors around the world. What kind of products and services will be the hottest for demand from European companies? Of course, sustainable innovation, e-mobility, hydrogen and advanced lithium batteries and their full cycle, improvement to energy efficiency, responses to climate change, circular economy. The cities of Europe all have a resilience department that buys directly from the market services to improve the status of their city. I heard that earlier we had the presence of a representative of the worldwide smart cities. Cities can be a very important client for startups, especially if you can explain to the authorities in Vietnam that smart cities are about having results in making them being livable and are not limited to having very orderly and easily accessible data. There is a new category of investors called green investors. They can only invest in projects that are green. And this is new money that is available only to those who qualify. So it is possible by making the correct steps to make the pool of money available to your company even bigger. In fintech, banks and other financial companies are looking for new solutions to reduce the friction of transactions, improving the understanding of clients' needs, sometimes disintermediating risk by distributing among members of crowdfunding or other forms of direct participation to risk. While US banks lead the way in terms of investment in fintech companies at a high price, European banks are also catching up. European software and entertainment companies are still looking at efficient and innovative suppliers of programming and imaging services. Biosciences and pharma have long been growing mostly by acquiring innovative startups that develop new substances and new cures but have no resources to reach the global markets and thus take full and rapid benefit from the innovation. Another area in which new companies can be successful is in education and faraway education. As long as they are not too much built in the context of Vietnam, they can easily be extended to serve other countries. Lower tech, but high knowledge, branded food and beverage, as well as luxury goods products, are also potentially attractive to European companies, given their relative strength in distribution in their own markets. In a similar way to pharma and biotech, these companies acquire startups and young companies that have launched innovative and unique products. Don't worry, I'm almost finished. The challenge at this point is in how to get to meet these companies. And of course, there are several organizations, including the people who have organized the International Village, who are perfect intermediaries between the startup group and the rest of the world. But of course, there are also the representatives of the states that allow companies to get connected, especially the trade commissions, to get connected to the companies that are based in Europe. And so are the chambers of commerce. Spurred of this occasion, I will investigate the possibility of creating a marketplace on internet, whereby Vietnamese innovative companies offer their services to European companies, and an active moderator will try and understand which is the best fit, if there is a fit, and in that case organize a direct meeting and give an opportunity. So rather than having a fair, we would have a permanent blackboard and or a bulletin board for special opportunities of putting together European companies and Vietnamese innovators at low cost, and we hope some results. And with this, I thank very much the organizers, in particular Selina Le, for this opportunity of sharing some ideas, and compliment everyone for the scale of this exercise, and I wish everyone a great success in continuing the operations of this fest. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tommaso. So I just got the news from Miss Selena. A special guest from our Vietnam government has just arrived and joined us today. So it's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Nguyễn Quốc Cường, Director of Science and Technology Department from Bình Dương Province. Thank you, Mr. Cường, for joining us today. So after the story of European business and Viet startups, now let's zoom in Sweden innovation ecosystem. And join us in the keynote 2, Sweden Innovation Ecosystem and Journey to Success, from Mr. Johan Alvin, First Secretary and Head of Trade Promotion, Economic and Political Affairs, Embassy of Sweden. Sorry, sir, for getting you away from me some.
Thank you so much, Kathy. Thank you, and good afternoon to all of you. Let's just see, this is me keeping a track on my own time, because I must say that I'm absolutely thrilled to be here today. Thank you so much to the organizers, Selina, Kathy, and your team, to NATEC, to the TECHFEST team at large, to invite us to speak about something that we love the most, innovation. And that's why I have to put a timer on myself, because I can go on and on about this. we've been invited to speak about the ecosystem of Sweden when it comes to innovation. And that's, I'll see if I can manage to do that in a sort of straightforward way. I love the way that you portray the sort of the session, Selena. It's all about happiness. It's some sort of balance we need to find. Innovation is about creativity, right? So if we don't enjoy ourselves, we're going to limit ourselves. So all for that. The spirit of openness and happiness. So more smiles and more laughter. I've been in this country for 3.5 years, somewhat. And, you know, it's not the same country that I came to 3.5 years ago in the summer of 2017. So much is happening, and I can assure you that our companies from Sweden that are present here in Vietnam, they want to do more. They want to do much more than they're doing. They see enormous potential. And they're really trying to convey this to their headquarters in different cities in Sweden, in Stockholm or Gothenburg or Malmö, that give us more resources. We can grow, we can expand, we can co-create with Vietnamese startups, with Vietnamese SMEs, with Vietnamese bigger companies that are playing the international game. And what's hindering us? I think that's sheer understanding of how quickly this country is developing. You are going through a tremendous journey that is somewhat similar to ours. The only difference is that you're doing it so much faster. But just like Tommaso said, we have a new free trade agreement with Vietnam, between the EU and Vietnam. I think that will also really drive our development of our business, especially for SMEs, because it lowers the hurdles for SMEs to venture all the way to Southeast Asia to do business. So I think this is going to be a propellant for more increase of better and more sustainable, innovative trade and investment. And that is what we need. If I'll just step away a little bit from Southeast Asia and go back to Sweden. We are a small country, 10 million people, sort of half the size almost of Ho Chi Minh City. But we are far away up in the north. We have big businesses, and they need to look out of their frontiers. So they have always been global, and they've always been fighting. And that is why innovation has been so darn important for them, because they need to do more with less. We have a small in-house market, so they need to look for customers abroad. This is bragging. This is us just bragging. I'm not really a fan of this, but just to put us on the map here. We do quite well when it comes to innovation, and I hope that after this little talk, I can leave you with a sense of understanding that how this came about. I think we can't have a talk about innovation in 2020 without mentioning these, because this is the challenge. This is what we are all up against. This is what we have agreed upon that we are all up against. We need to do well when it comes to the Sustainable Development Goals. And previously, maybe we were fighting to have lower prices, to have better products. Today, we need to have better and sustainable products and services to do well. And this is also a good opportunity, because this really helps us to co-create, because we're in it together. We have agreed this. Our heads of states have all agreed this, and I do believe that people also think that we are in it together. And I think just looking down at the central coast of Vietnam the last couple of months shows us that there is a dire need to build sustainably, to do innovative things more sustainably. The COVID crisis, we need to build back greener and better. For us, this will be a new challenge, monumental. Tommaso, he mentioned some of the challenges ahead when it comes to finances and banks, what the state banks have been printing money to fight off the zero inflation, to keep our economies alive. For us, it's yet another challenge. We have gone through many of these before. Our international business, we have come across And that's the beauty of international business, right? It spurs us to grow better and become more competitive. But we have lost a lot of fights along the way. We used to build ships in Sweden. Then Korea came about, and they did it so much better. So we said, bye-bye ships. Let's not build ships anymore. We'll do something else. So we started, you know, going into more high-tech stuff, thinking about other ways to do business. We had a really big textile industry, and then China, Bangladesh, and all of these other really cool developing nations came and did it so much better and cheaper than we did. So we said, bye-bye textiles, but we went into the designing of textiles instead. So for us, we will continue to transform, and this we see also in Vietnam a lot. It's very adaptive. And being creative is being innovative. So this we try to instill already at the age of 3, 4 years at kindergarten when kids start, to question, why is this way, teacher, that you say that we should do things? Why is it the best way? Can't we do it that other way? Seems more fun and it's quicker. And it goes on and all through schools and universities as well. And then when it comes to businesses, we are quite flat in our organizations. We try to have an open discussion climate. That goes for companies, but also for public organizations. My boss, the ambassador, the best she knows is when I don't agree with her. I don't say so in public. I do it to you, but I hope you keep it a secret. But she loves that, because then we have a discussion and we can move things forward. Technology. And here's another similarity with Vietnam. We adopt it quite quickly. We are extremely prone to use smartphones, to internet. My mom, who's 75, she's online quite a bit. And of course, she's using her technology to her advantage. And we have tried to sponsor that from the state as well, by having infrastructure, broadband. We are a bit older than you in development, so we have fixed lines, you have cell phones, and you have 5G broadband, which you're leapfrogging through us. The openness and progressiveness that Sweden is all about, we are extremely open. But that means we can learn from each other. We don't have to guess what others are doing. We can learn. The state is open. All documents from the state is public. Triple helix. Have you heard about triple helix? Hands up. Who has heard about triple helix? We have a well-educated young lady down there. Selena knows all about it. We try to work about triple helix, and I'll show you a bit what it is. It's really about fostering a common agenda between industry, academia, and the government, so that we all pull in the same direction. Small country, 10 million people, we need to do it smartly, swiftly, and nimble. We also have a fourth component, which makes it actually a quadruple helix, the civil society. And the civil society, in our view, makes us so much stronger, because they can inform us, they can correct us if we miss out on something. If we are to meet the sustainable development goals, we can't take shortcuts. We need to make sure that we tick all the boxes and we don't leave anyone behind. We need to look after the environment, but also the people inside and those who are affected. So this we try to do a lot. It's a lot about discussion between these four partners in an open and transparent process. And of course, shortcuts, we can't have them. So we spend a lot of money on education, having a good curricula to develop our young students for a lifelong learning process, to question well-established procedures, to improve and continuously strive to do things smarter. And of course, here's me bragging again. We do well when it comes to startups, and I think I'll show you a little bit. See, I'm already over time. These are some of the companies that we have that have made it well beyond our borders. Do you recognize, well, you've seen H&M, maybe you've bought some H&M clothing. There are Volvo trucks here. Do you play Minecraft? My kids love Minecraft. That's a Swedish company. That's a guy. He himself is probably worth more than the whole Volvo car building company. He was smart. He did it in wearing, gym pants. But these companies here, they are the smart new ones. These are old industrial companies, so to speak. These are sort of the old generation. But they are not stagnant. They are developing. They're constantly re-innovating. That is why they can make it still internationally. But these ones, these are unicorns. $1 billion companies in a few years. And they went global directly from day 2, basically. And the good thing here about startups is that these guys, they collaborate. So they work together to learn from each other. And it's not to the advantage of the small startup companies only. This is a win-win. And I think this is something we need to keep in mind when we talk about innovation. We're not talking win-lose. We need to find win-wins, because otherwise we won't be excelling. And just like Tommaso, I like that. Non-low tech. I think this is one of the most important slides I have to show you, that this is low-tech innovation. It's about finding that balance. This morning, as my ambassador was giving a high-level speech, I was at home with my kids preparing some gingerbread cookies for Christmas. So we took turns. I didn't spend my whole day here, even if I wanted, but it's cool to be with the kids as well, to find that balance. And we have a welfare system in Sweden as well that enables people to take risks. Even if you take that risk, you start your own company, most often you won't be a world champion on the first try. You're probably going to half-what crash, but there's a system to catch you when you fall. And so you can land on your feet and you can get back together without risking everything. And if we're talking innovation system as such, this is the way it physically looks. We have, of course, a government that it's, as any other country would have, that has a lot of money it spends on innovation systems, on driving support. We have state agencies like Vinnova, which is our primary innovation agency that funds cutting-edge research that will develop into innovation. The same when it comes to the Swedish Energy Agency. They drive new thinking, sustainable and renewable energy. And here's one agency that drives regional growth so that the whole country, not only our big cities, can be smart and developing. But then, of course, we have the incubators, the universities. Those guys are super important. I would bet that almost every university in Sweden today has some sort of spin-off factory to productify and make products and companies out of their research. Phuong here, she works at Uppsala University, which is one of the biggest universities in the Nordics, and they do this a lot. And they are so interested also in Vietnam, so they actually have an office here. So if you want to learn more about studying and learning more about innovation in Sweden, you can talk to Phuong here. And then, of course, we need to channel this into something. And these are some of the areas where we have jointly decided in a process, together with the government and business, where we should focus energy. This is where we see that we will try to use our innovation and startups to drive. We see them as sort of monumental challenges for us to improve, to become lifelong success for us. And also here, if you look at these, this is pretty good overlap with what we're seeing developing in Vietnam. So I can assure you, in 5 years from now, I can almost promise that we have doubled our trade to Vietnam, because we have so many companies who would like to come here to build together with Vietnamese companies. And really, it's all about joint learning. Let's see if there we go. And with that, I have spoken well beyond the time allotted. But I would be happy to take questions after and talk to you when it comes to what we do. And I'm sure that you will bump into a lot of Swedish companies and organizations in the time to come, if you haven't already. So thank you very much to the organizers. Thank you so very much to all of you for listening. Have a great day.
Thank you, Mr. Johan. Yeah. So in the first two keynotes, we have the lessons about Europe in general and Sweden in particular have been shared. So how about the Asia? Today we are very lucky to have Mr. Sean Lee, CEO of SM Sino Technology Investment, to share about how Korean investors make startups to IPO. Welcome to the stage, Mr. Sean Lee.
Thank you. Well, I'll be using a script to limit myself because I have only 5 minutes to present. But anyway, I would like you to focus more on my presentation, PPT, rather than my face, because my presentation much more handsome than myself. Okay, good afternoon. My name is Sean Lee. I'm a CEO of SM Sino Technology Investment, and SM is a venture capital based in Korea, whose prime investment focus is biotech. Today, I will be sharing our experience as a venture capital, how we have invested and accelerate startups, eventually put them on board, means IPO, which should be the most favorable means of exit for venture capital. Company logos in these slides are some of our portfolio companies. Their funding stages are various, from pre-Series A to the companies already been IPO. We SM act not only as an investor, but as a business development manager for our portfolio companies. I'll brief you in the next slides how we have been doing this. These are some facts and statistics about Korean venture companies. As you can see in the slide, there are around 500 bio-related companies listed in Korean stock exchanges. And within those 500, around 40 companies, market cap is over $1 billion US. Of course, not all of them were started as a venture companies. There are also traditional pharmaceutical companies, but $1 billion US mark can only be reached those who have gone through intensive innovations. In 2020, this year, around 15 companies have been listed in stock exchanges. Thankfully, one of them is our portfolio company. The reason why I'm sharing this is to inspire those who are thinking of founding biotech startups in Vietnam. As I'm sure one fine day in near future, Vietnam should follow the suit of this development. Next slide shows what are the criteria that venture investors consider when making an investment, which you should know well, right? We SM particularly stress importance in IP-protected technologies and the qualifications of founders and founding members. This illustration shows how venture capital like us drives startup to be IPO from the beginning of the company. I will present in more detail in next 3 slides with our real and live ongoing project. Next 3 slides show how bio startup evolves by timelines and what are the milestones has to be created and the role of venture capital. In 2015, this company was founded by 2 professors from medical school with an idea of reposition new drug, which has efficacy in liver cirrhosis. In 2016, SM has identified this company and participate as the first financial investor. When we make an investment in a startup company, we try to structure the way to keep the founder's stake as high as possible, because it is beneficial for us to arrange future funding and IPO. In 2017 and 18, there were a number of milestones. Most importantly, AI technology was integrated to their drug discovery platform. Our role in these years was that we helped them to integrate AI technology into their existing platform. In fact, the AI technology itself was developed by one of our portfolio companies. In addition, we arranged for them to get government grants and help them to hire CFO, COO, and business development manager. What we have to note here is that the company went through remarkable open innovation. They accepted new technologies and people from outside who were experts in different areas. By doing so, the company was able to upgrade their business model and increase their valuation. In 2019, the company has registered a new IPs and new pipelines were added. Series A funding was made at the valuation of $20 million US. And our role here was that we have follow-up invested, of course, and also invited other investors who can add value to the growth of the company. In accelerating bio startup, it is essential that all the participants have to do their job and chip in their expertise. In other words, better not to have any free riders. Just putting in money is not good enough in accelerating bio startups. 2020 this year in September, there was a Series B funding at the valuation of $60 million US with the milestones of upgrading AI engine, and that AI engine was got a patent. In addition, there were a number of license in and out deals with local pharmaceutical companies as well. Our role here was to help upgrading the AI engine and inviting bigger players with IPO expertise. In order to attract bigger players, we have sold some of our old shares at the lower value to them. Next year, we are planning to put this company on board after adding some more milestones and funding. After or before IPO, if the company can strike a deal with a global big players, which should be license out deal, we hope we can exit with exciting multiples. And then our 5 years of our hard work could be paid off. And a big bonus to me. And these slides should be very interesting and could tell us a lot of stories. But unfortunately, I have to skip this due to time limit. Skip, yeah. All right. Okay. I would like to wrap up my speech by quoting a proverb. There's a saying that where people walk becomes the road. Yeah. Which means a place will become a road once people start walk through. I hope to see some pioneers in Vietnam who dare to walk where no one has gone before and make a road so that others can or may follow. Yeah? I believe this is the way to enlarge entire ecosystem of Vietnam's biotech sector. That's all of my speech. Thank you for listening. And I would like to say one word. Yeah, which I learned this morning from my business manager. Cô lên Vietnam, right?
Thank you so much, Mr. Charlie. You know what? Our conference today is being live on Facebook. Yeah, on the International Village fan page and the TechFest fan page. You can check it right now, and let's keep our most beautiful image on this. Yeah, the whole country and other countries might be watching us. So for the next, before we get to keynote 4 with Mr. Anurag, let's watch a video, a documentary that Sister has shared with us. That is Sister, the documentary.
Everyone, how are you? So we start showing Sister. Why Sister here? They based in Switzerland, and I'm working with them 2016 as a mentor and just and global submiss mentor. And I find out that's not only the value of contribution for startup, but the engage of their community, even from mentor, from investor and startup alone. They have very good connection in 100 countries just 6 years. That's why I bring them today to International Village and TechFest to show that how Vietnam can learn from them. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for watching the video. And now we would like to introduce Mr. Anurag Malu, Head of Partnership of Sistar in Asia Pacific. He's sitting in India to connect with us today via the live stream on StreamYard. He will give us the keynote for Sistar Switzerland, how to touch it 100 markets. So please connect me with Mr. Anurag. Hi Anurag, can you hear me?
Hello, everyone. Hi, Selena.
okay.
Can you hear me?
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. So are you ready to start?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
Let
So
me
I give
try.
the stage to you.
Thank you. Let me try sharing my screen and then we take off. Wait.
We don't share screen. Yeah, Mr. Anurag is sharing his screen.
Let me see if you can see my screen. Am I still audible?
Yes.
Perfect. Very good afternoon, everyone, and all the guests. I want to take a couple of minutes to quickly introduce myself. I believe it's very important, mostly in these times of virtual life, to get to know the person behind the screen, and especially when I couldn't come and be there with you in person. Uh, I'm Anurag. I'm in India right now, and I've spent a decade working in technology, education, social impact, and development sector. Currently, from over 7 years now, I've been working in Asia Pacific, building tech innovation, entrepreneurship, startup ecosystem, and venture capital development. I work with emerging markets. Sorry. I work with emerging markets because I believe that we can really change realities here and have some tangible impact. And that's what I have been doing over these years, traveling in frontier markets, emerging markets, in the economies. How do we create access to entrepreneurial opportunities and impact people's life there? So that's basically about me. But how I came to Seedstar. This is how I came to join hands with the team at Seedstar, building this company with an impact investing company in Switzerland, which is at the crossroads of three major trends: that of emerging markets potential, the rise of technology, and an entrepreneurial global generation, and putting impact and UN Sustainable Development Goals at the core of this impact around the world. And I think throughout this presentation, you will see how Seed Stars grew to these 100 markets, and our mission is to impact people's lives in emerging markets through technology and entrepreneurship. So, who is this person you see on the screen? Who is Alima? This is an award-winning documentary that you are watching. A very, glimpse of it. This has got over a million views on YouTube and various awards now, selected for different film festivals. So this is the story of Alima. Who is Alima? She's an entrepreneur based in Ghana, and she is more than being a women entrepreneur in Africa. She is the potential 6%. And who are these 6%? Well, there was a recent study done by Nesta on the UK market that provided that 6% of companies were accountable for over 50% of the new job creation and GDP growth. So, to achieve our vision of building thriving entrepreneurial ecosystems and creating social and economic development, we focus on this 6% of these companies. These are what we call high growth companies. They have two main characteristics. On one side, these companies have strong market potential, but also have highly disruptive, innovative products and services to offer. In comparison to the other, other categories of businesses you see on my slide, such as niche enterprises or dynamic enterprises who only create 1, 2 to 10 jobs. But the high growth ventures we are talking about in due time creates at least 200 jobs. And that's the magic, that's our theory of change. Helping these 6% of high growth companies to create 50% of these new jobs that will drive economic and social development in a country or a region. And that's the long term outcome we expect, increasing jobs in emerging markets and delivering social impact. I think brief now I will touch base on our theory of change as I speak. And so at Seed Stars, we have symbolically, talked about having for this mission to find, support, and invest in the 6% of these high growth ventures in emerging markets. So imagine we support them efficiently, then they will, in due time, increase revenue, get more funding, hire more talent, and make profit and become sustainable, which would have an impact on job creation and, more importantly, to have a social impact, as the products and services would have an impact also on their communities, maybe in the sector of transportation, the climate and education, healthcare, supporting people with different abilities, driving inclusion in communities, in agriculture, variety of sectors, which will in due time generate economic and social development within the nation. So how do we make that completely happen now? We have spoken about this. So first, we provide vocational training through our different programs. And secondly, we invest in these businesses. In 2019, we have trained over 4,000 companies, and we aim by 2020 to double our current investment per portfolio to 50 investments per year. And but we can't do it alone. We know this. We have a network of mentors, ambassadors in the different countries and emerging markets, and some of them are here today, like Selena. And we want to thank all of them again for their support in the communities down. But also all the ecosystem builders, such as the other accelerators locally, the co-working spaces and the incubators, and of course the investor ecosystem. We can't do it alone. So we have worked hard the past years in building such a diverse network that would ensure the right support of these entrepreneurs around the world. And but to do this at scale, we need fuel, just like any other business. And for this, we have the support of various corporates, development banks, foundations, and of course, a crucial actor, the government, the local governments, the regional governments. And we have over 150 partnerships around the world every year to make that happen. And on top, to ensure stability and quality, we have community building and advocacy activities taking place all throughout the year that support the whole activity, all the other activities that we do. And we are trying to connect all the stakeholders in the local ecosystem. And that's exactly what we are doing here today, sharing that journey with you. We operate over 200 plus events every year, open 15 physical innovation hubs to our community as part of our community building and advocacy initiatives through Seed Stars World competition locally, regionally, and globally, and various field spaces that we run. And we intend to be louder. We are firm believers of the power of storytelling and having role models as entrepreneurs as role models. So you see, if there is one thing that can be proven is that success truly breeds success. And we can see it so clearly in the sports sector, where one famous soccer player, we can talk about so many of them, right? Inspires a whole generation of 5 to 15 years old. Well, one entrepreneur story can inspire thousands of others. And so we have worked hard in building quality content, and that's what we want to share to the masses so that we can democratize this entrepreneurship. So we are supporting entrepreneurs, but why are we really legitimate? Because we are entrepreneurs ourselves. And these are, Seed Stars partners. You see, we walk the talk. PA and Benjamin in 2015 when we moved to Nigeria to launch our first incubation center. That was our home, really bootstrapping for the next few years. And like any other entrepreneur, we hustled to get to the next day. And now we are growing fast across the globe. We have upgraded that orange plastic table you see there. And so we know what you are all going through. And consider ourselves as a high growth venture we are talking about, with now over 200 people growing very fast in the group. And that is so fundamental because it's done by entrepreneurs for entrepreneurs. And that's what we support, right? And more importantly, we learn from one another, from each other. At Seedstar, we have an iterative learning cycle that is crucial to our development, but also to the capability of supporting these high growth ventures at scale. So that's our theory of change that helped us grow from Seedstar to 95 plus emerging markets. In reality, all these numbers you see are actually the people who want to change the world. How we have reached around the world in over 95 plus ecosystems, 80, 60 plus portfolio companies. And maybe, I want to finish up with some of our key learnings along the way of growing to these 100 markets. We started dreaming big. I think like many entrepreneurs in the room here today, think like our co-founder Alizi, the beauty, and she says the beauty of a startup is you have no chance of convincing people to join you on security or monetary benefit. So we had to really double down on making them believe our purpose was worthwhile. And this is what our whole team at Seedstars fundamentally believe in our mission and in the stakeholders and the partners and the beneficiaries we work with and we surround ourselves day to day with. Second, it's a lot of hard work. We believe in hard work. People like Selena and her team today, you've seen them working hard day and night for the past few months to put this together, to this kind of a huge event together. It's a lot of sheer hard work and conviction that it has some real value for you. If you are in the business of building and scaling a high growth venture, you need to work hard. And I think that's what we do. And you can see some of the examples of our work around the world in Asia and in different regions. And stay focused. Third thing is all about staying focused. We want to grasp all the opportunities, and that's very difficult to stay focused and ensuring all the challenges we go through. How do we ensure we don't dilute our culture, our mission, our objectives, and continue that we don't get there where we have lack focus. And we are still working on it. We are still figuring out as we are entrepreneurs and staying aligned with the goals we have. And in the end, finally, we surround ourselves with great people that want to be better, people that want to make things better. And building a high growth venture is like a marathon. It's not overnight things will change. It's composed of many small intense sprints. So it's a long journey, and 100% of the people I'm like founders you talk to, they will all agree. They will testify to this fact that you need to surround yourself with good people, and it's you now who has to choose if are you seed star. We are all seed stars. So be part of this journey. If you can join as a partner, a supporting stakeholder, and as a beneficiary participating in our programs, join us in bringing this change in emerging markets, in supporting these entrepreneurs, because we want to work together with you. We want to partner with the government, academic institutions, foundations, corporations, entrepreneurs, development agencies around the world to build these steady and healthy entrepreneurial ecosystems that drive meaningful economic and social development. Our areas of work vary from sustainable economic development activities to capacity building training, climate change and environment, gender equality, women empowerment, regular and irregular migration, human rights and governance, and beyond that, larger, the whole focus on UN Sustainable Development Goals and various sectors we operate in. So we would love to work together with you and support the Vietnamese and ASEAN innovation ecosystem, helping your government, your entrepreneurs, and your community. And since 2013, we have been trusted by various partners and institutions around the world to do this in 90 plus ecosystems. And so glad to be able to work with hand in hand with all of them. And we want to continue with this journey. So you see now, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world indeed. It's the only thing that ever has. Then let's do it for our children and the next generation. Thank you. I look forward to speak to you more. And if you have any questions, please let me know. I would love to stay in touch and reach out to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Anurag.
If you have any questions, please let me know.
So with the
And
missions of connecting resources to enhance the ecosystem to support innovation and entrepreneurship, International Village has tried our best to connect different speakers from countries and industry. And in the next part discussion, panel discussion 1, we will have not only one speaker, but 3 speakers from Australia, Italy, and Singapore to join us. And here we have 2 other speakers in our room today. So I would like to invite Ms. Lê Mỹ Nga, CEO of Omash Management, and Mr. Phạm Tuấn Hiệp, Director of BK Holdings, to the stage to join our panel discussion. Ms. Selena, Founder and Managing Director of WSAFE, will be the moderator, and with Mr. Jamie, Head of Learning and Development Management, up. And in Italy, I would like to introduce Dr. Andrei Golub, General Manager for Italy and Head of AI M&S R&D of Icon Group. Hi, Mr. Andrei, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm here. You. Do you hear me?
Yeah, how are you today?
Yeah, very, very well. Thank you.
Nice
Thanks
to see
for
you
having
again.
me. That's so
And
great.
Mr. Tony Wheeler, CEO and founder of Imaginext Ventures in Australia. Hello, Tony. Are you ready?
Yeah, definitely ready. Disappointed I can't be there in person, but looking forward to it.
Yeah, thank you. And we also have the participation of Mr. Sean Lee, CEO of SM Sino Technology Investment. And Mr. CK Vishwakama, founder and CEO of On Things Connected from Singapore. Hi, CK.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me clearly?
Hi, CK. Can you hear us?
Yep, I can hear you. How about you? Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can hear you. Are you ready?
Looking forward.
Yeah, okay. So now I will leave the stage for Miss Selena and Mr. Jamie.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for spending almost 2 hours with us. And now we have another trip connecting city from Vietnam to Australia. And then we go to Milano. And then we come back to Singapore. And then we arrive to Vietnam today at Honestly. So I come back with myself, that's the head of International Village. And we would like to bring the topic that's how can we connect result to make ecosystem to the next level, how to support innovation and entrepreneurship in Vietnam, that we make the country better than last year, better than 10 years ago. So today we are happy that we bring the other leader of incubator, very famous BK Holding, Mr. Phạm Tuấn Hiệp. And we come back with Mr. Shirley from Korean Sino Technology and Investment that we share. And my team, Jamie, he will be my co-pilot to flying on people today. And Miss Lê Mỹ Nga, she is my good friend and my sister. So she have a lot of roles, so I will not mention again today. Thank you so much again to join our flight today. And we have many questions, but our time very limited. And Andre, CK, and Tommy, very good friend of mine, they want to contribute to Vietnam innovation ecosystem a lot. But how? How we get involved them in the game that they can spend their time, their energy, and their network to contribute to our country. That is our role, our duty, like Mr. Hiệp and me and Ms. Nga and the other people here. So our first question is, for everyone, first, we ask the Hanoi Bai, right? We ask the people in Vietnam first. What is your role in Vietnam innovation ecosystem to make this innovation ecosystem to grow, to stay stable, and to develop? Same like our neighbor, like Singapore, Thai, and Indonesia, next 2, 5, 4, even later than that period, that our startup can get a lot of benefit. Thank you. So for your answer first, Mr. Hiệp from BK Holding. Thank you.
Vâng, xin chào quý vị. Tôi là Phạm Tuấn Hiệp. Tôi là giám đốc ươm tạo của BK Holding, trường Đại học Bách khoa Hà Nội. BK Holding ở trường Đại học Bách khoa Hà Nội thì là hệ thống doanh nghiệp của trường Bách khoa, và chúng tôi làm giống như là một trung tâm chuyển giao công nghệ, trung tâm thương mại hóa công nghệ, và đồng thời thì với vai trò là một công ty holding, chúng tôi còn là công ty để sở hữu và quản lý những doanh nghiệp được hình thành ở trong trường Bách khoa. Và quay trở lại đối với câu hỏi của bạn Selena, thì thú thực đây vẫn là câu hỏi còn đang đầy trăn trở và đầy dang dở ở Việt Nam, ở Hà Nội và cả đối với chúng tôi. Cụ thể là cho những chương trình mà ươm tạo, chúng tôi mới đang triển khai ở giai đoạn đầu. Giai đoạn đầu có nghĩa là chúng tôi mới thương mại hóa những đề tài nghiên cứu trong trường đại học để trở thành sản phẩm thương mại, để trở thành mô hình doanh nghiệp, và có cả gọi vốn đầu tư cho những doanh nghiệp đấy, và chúng tôi cũng đầu tư. Nhưng dang dở có nghĩa là chúng tôi chưa thoái vốn và chưa thu lời. Chúng tôi chưa hoàn thành được một vòng đầu tư. Và đấy là vì sao chúng tôi nói chúng tôi vẫn đang ở trong giai đoạn đầu của ươm tạo đầu tư những mô hình khởi nghiệp, những mô hình doanh nghiệp khoa học công nghệ. Và trực tiếp quay trở lại, vừa rồi thì đấy là một chút để các bạn hình dung được hiện trạng những công việc của chúng tôi, những dấu mốc hành trình ban đầu, những bước đi ban đầu của chúng tôi. Và quay trở lại đối với câu hỏi trực tiếp của bạn Selena là làm sao để chúng tôi có thể triển khai được mô hình này một cách hiệu quả và bền vững. Đấy là một câu hỏi mà chúng tôi vẫn đang tìm lời giải. Hiện nay nhiều chương trình của chúng tôi triển khai và chúng tôi vẫn cần nguồn lực hỗ trợ từ nhà nước. Nhà nước hỗ trợ chuyên gia, nhà nước hỗ trợ cả kinh phí. Và chúng tôi đang cố gắng để giảm cái tỷ lệ mà hỗ trợ ngân sách từ nhà nước. Và với vai trò là một hệ thống doanh nghiệp của trường Bách khoa, thì ngay từ đầu chúng tôi đã thúc đẩy mô hình tự chủ về con người, tự chủ về tài chính, và đang phấn đấu để giảm phụ thuộc vào ngân sách của nhà nước. Và chúng tôi kỳ vọng là trong vòng 3 năm nữa, khi có những khoản đầu tư chúng tôi thoái vốn, chúng tôi thu về và sinh lời. Và đấy là thời điểm chúng tôi có thể hoàn toàn tự chủ 100%, không phụ thuộc vào ngân sách của nhà nước. Đến thời điểm này thì chúng tôi đã tự chủ hoàn toàn vào cái đội ngũ một chuyên gia nằm trong hệ thống ươm tạo và đầu tư của chúng tôi. Có những chuyên gia đến từ phía nhà nước, nhưng mà chúng tôi không phụ thuộc vào những chuyên gia, những cái chương trình nội dung đến từ nhà nước, mà chúng tôi đã mở rộng mối quan hệ với cả những tổ chức khác trong hệ sinh thái và cả những đối tác là bạn bè quốc tế. Vâng, thì đấy là một chút cập nhật ban đầu với cả các quý vị với cái hiện trạng hành trình ban đầu của chúng tôi và cái định hướng để chúng tôi có thể sớm phát triển bền vững và tự chủ hoàn toàn trong mấy câu chuyện là thương mại hóa công nghệ và ươm tạo công nghệ, để có thể hình thành những công ty khởi nguồn công nghệ, công ty spin-off hoặc công ty khởi nghiệp, công ty start-up từ trong lòng trường đại học.
Dạ, cảm ơn anh rất nhiều. Thank you so much for your sharing, Mr. Phạm Tuấn Hiệp. This is a lot of things the other incubator can learn from him, and we can combine like a team in Vietnam to support startup ecosystem. Thank you. And we come back with the same question to Mr. Shorley. You're working with a lot of startup and innovation and accelerator yourself. So how can how is your role play in innovation ecosystem from Korean to Vietnam? Thank you.
Actually, when I first come to Vietnam, my mission or my dream is to have want to be a first person who get involved in the first de novo, which means new drug, which can be produced in Vietnam with the level of made in Vietnam. But you know, I spent 2 years for now, and realized that it is really hard to you know, compare apple to apple comparison between you know, development countries and Vietnam. And I realized that the people is a great you know, asset that Vietnam has. And in regards to technology, there's nothing new under the sun. So if you have a you know, a passion to do something, you know, technology is available out there. So what I'm trying to say is the human resources are the greatest asset of Vietnam. And now what I'm trying to do, I tried many things, look for a technology, and you know, I even look into a patent office, whether there is a you know, viable patent available in patent office, but was not very successful. So my strategy now is to find the right people, you know, who has a passion to do something new, and be a pioneer who want to walk where no one has gone before. Because now Korea biotech industry is quite advanced compared to other Asian countries. It's because of some pioneers who has started from the scratch. For instance, you know, now there's a company called Celltrion. It was only founded 18 years ago, and the founder was a car dealer, not even a professor or scientist. But now Celltrion they're, I don't know, sorry to say about by money term, but their market capitalization in Korean stock exchange is $44 billion US. Yeah. So if someone, you know, stand up and try to do something, do not wait for you know, do not wait for the environment. I mean, you know, good, decent environment and decent government support. Don't wait for that. Do what you can do, and that and if you have that passion, and you can connect those people with the technology available out there in Vietnam, right? So I think that's the way how you start from the scratch.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shirley. We will have the Q&A later. Thank you. We still have the connecting flight guy. So we go to Australia, Queensland, to meet Mr. Tony. Hi, Tony. How are you doing? Thank you. So my question for you is...
I am very well, Selena. Thank you.
Thank you. Please first tell everyone that about yourself and your role in innovation ecosystem to support entrepreneurship and innovation. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for inviting me to be part of this. As Selena said, my name's Tony Wheeler. Currently run a company called ImagineX Ventures. I've been involved in innovation, open innovation, and building companies for over 20 years. But specifically in relation to Vietnam, I've been in the country now pre-COVID for about the last 3 years, working with ecosystem builders and various ministries to actually help scale up and build out the Vietnam innovation ecosystem. My role basically is mentor, advisor, and angel investor. And I do that across Australia, Vietnam, and America. So that's enough about me. Anyone can look me up on LinkedIn or Facebook, and feel free to connect and ask any questions.
Hi everyone, thank you, Ms. Selena. I'm happy to be the co-moderator today with my buddy Selena. So, my name is Jamie from MoveUp.app, and as a startup founder and a learning enthusiast, I'm especially excited to be co-moderating this panel today about enhancing the innovation ecosystem. So, thank you to everyone for being involved. My first question is, I think I'll start with some of our international speakers today. So, in your innovation ecosystem, you have several key stakeholders. So, what should be the role for your key stakeholders to grow the innovation ecosystem? I'll start with Mr. CK.
Hi everyone, thanks for inviting me for this discussion. And I wished I would have been there in person, but having said that, let me put my thoughts together and before we talk about how do we put the whole ecosystem together. So first of all, quick introduction of all things connected. I'm based in Singapore, as Selena mentioned. I run a company called All Things Connected. As the name says, we are into IoT and digital transformation ecosystem. And when we do projects, for example, smart factories, smart buildings, we need to orchestrate different stakeholders, both from the solutions seeker side of it, from the CXOs, from the business managers, as well as from the technology side of it, because these kind of complex solutions do require multiple technology partners to come together. So one of the challenges the typical solutions provider, which includes the startups, also face that I do have a piece of technology. It could be a AI platform, or could be a device, it could be some analytics tool. But how can we, a part of the larger project, is where they struggle in. So this is where I think the stakeholders need to come together. First, from solutions seeker side of it, that they should not think that there is one company who can do everything. They need to understand what they're trying to achieve and then look at the right partner who can orchestrate the very solutions stakeholders together. At the same time, the solutions providers, whether it's a startup, whether it's a scale up, whether it's a large company, they also need to understand that they cannot do everything, right? They cannot solve all the problems of the world. So who they should partner with. So to summarize, what we call it a total ecosystem value approach. What I mean by that, the old saying is 1 plus 1 instead of 2 becomes 11. So how do we bring the different stakeholders together to increase the and amplify the total ecosystem value? So this is typically what we do day in, day out for both our customers as well as solution providers. And the same thing which we also highly advocate and advise to the startup, which some of them I personally advise that look at the technology, but look at how can we bring the higher value together with other stakeholders in the ecosystems. And the ecosystem include not just the technology provider, but also government agency, research institute, and it could be just individual expert bring his or her expertise on the plate. So that's my thought to how do we orchestrate this whole complex digital ecosystem and be more successful.
Thank you so much for sharing. So let's continue our international flight on to Italy, where we have Andre. What's your take on this one, sir? What should be the role of the key stakeholders in growing the innovation ecosystem? Andre, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, I'm following the translation. Thank you very much. Hello, I'm very happy to be connected from Italy. Hopefully, yeah, next time to be personally in the room. Thanks for inviting me anyway. I think my role, my vision could be a bit unique, no? Because I've been an entrepreneur for many years, for more than 10 years, uh, partner of different startup ecosystems from, let me say, from bottom. No, I had some companies which been even sold or merged, and smaller companies which didn't have success. No, so I've seen I passed myself the whole path of a startup that dreams and that tried to collaborate with big companies and go to the market in different strategic ways. No, so this is my, let's say, background. Before I've got a role in a large technological company, which is iCall Group, as I've been presented, which is a company about digital transformation, deep digital transformation of fashion space, particularly retail. And why exactly the case that the previous speaker greatly explained it. Now, when a company cannot do it alone, no. So since I have seen this situation, now from bottom, as I said before, now from a startup, now I'm trying to help this company to build an open ecosystem. Now, so we've got a very aggressive roadmap to the market. We have resources. We're kind of 200 of R&D people now building different systems, from B2B online systems to specific digital services, technology. That, to make it clear, we build robots, factories. We have AI, we have digitalization tools, and so on and so on. We even have our own factories producing white label for other companies, for other brands, and so on. But the idea was to open our technological step to collaborate with even very small companies like startups and entrepreneurs, and especially in far countries. Now, for us, Vietnam is, let me say that Vietnam is a new China. Really, it is. We are so enthusiastic about collaborating with Vietnamese innovative space, and we want to build together, no, not to use, but to build together our presence. We cover Europe, no, we work somehow in Latin America, and we want to be presented in Vietnam. So my personal mission will be to always keep in mind that we work together, no? Not what we can get, what we can, leverage, but what we can do together. That's my vision.
Thank you, Andre. Okay, and let's move back into Vietnam, Miss Nga. So, um, again, what are the role of the key stakeholders in growing the innovation ecosystem, ma'am?
Thank you. A little bit introduce myself with everybody here. I have more than 20 years in oil and gas industries. I'm representative with the country head of ABS group, specializing certification and technical clarification service around the world. So that's the way that I support. I left the oil and gas industries. I support back to the ecosystem, ecosystem, because I could still feel that almost incubators I have met, except for PK Holdings, because you are doing very well. They focus to quantity, not quality. I focus to support the startup in standardized products, because the products 1P in 4P in marketing is very important. Because if the products cannot improve and high quality, you cannot launch into the market, or not only in locally in Vietnam, but also in international markets. That's why I come back to support the startup ecosystem. To make the ecosystem run effectively, I think it must be contribute a lot of factors from the stakeholders like government, incubators, and startup as well. From the government, I think Vietnam must complete the policy for business For example, crowdfunding is not permitted in Vietnam. So I think we have to discuss this with the government, because if the policy is not complete, the startup could not register their business, especially for very new business model, so that they are not permitted to launch the product into the markets. So if we wait, normally we have to wait 1 year to complete the policy. It's a bit too late already, because we could not compete to the startup from overseas. Because Vietnam have to join the international trade agreement a lot of, so we could not give the barriers for startup from overseas to come to Vietnam. So that's we could not support the startup well already. From the startup incubator or accelerators like WSF, we have to be more dynamic, focus on quantity, not quantity. So by that way, we connect with the very, very good mentors, like the doctor, the PhD from around the world, not only Vietnam. We support on the technology, like AI or IoT or biotech, bioengineering, to make the products very innovative, because we also have to research international what they are doing as well from IP. For example, you focus to design products, but maybe someone in the world they have been doing already. They launch into market already, but we just come to incubate, accelerate, but maybe you be penalties by others. They come to Vietnam, or they have registered in Vietnam or other country already. So we have to do the patent research, patent search, patent analysis before we design any products. If we see any companies, organizations, they have been doing that already, we have to consult them to make it new factors, innovative factors to the existing products that they are doing. So we can register IP. We can register the IP from, even though it's in US or Europe or in Vietnam as well. So for the startup, you must be more dynamic. You have to cooperate with your professor, your PhD, your lecturers in the university. So cooperate like the co-founder. Now I think the university just do research and submit to the government, but the students still working alone and just come to the incubator for incubation. I think it's the wrong way. So I think they have to cooperate each other in the technical management or the R&D lab in the university to do research, to do the IP research, and make the effective research, so that we have a very good products in the university, so that the ecosystem from incubator, accelerator can support university and developing the product and developing the market. And beside what standardized or products international standard. For example, the research have recently a lot of companies in the world like APP, like Volvo, they are doing well because they apply the international standards. So if the local company here in Vietnam, we do incubation, we don't know about the international standard for making the products. So it's fair by the beginning times.
Thank you so much, Ms. Nga. Thank you. And with that one, I'll hand back to my co-host, Ms. Selena, for her next question.
My question, a little bit challenge. Are you ready, guys? Thank you. So I go back to it. I choose the country. Okay, it's Australia. So how can Vietnam innovation ecosystem could collaborate with Australian innovation ecosystem to make it better, grower, and more innovative? Tony, please share with us. How could we do that? Thank you.
Yeah, it's a really important question. And I guess it doesn't just apply to collaboration with Australia. It's actually for Vietnam, collaboration with many countries. And I think it's something that I've observed over the last few years of being in Vietnam, is there are many countries out there that actually want to collaborate with Vietnam. You are an emerging economy, you've got amazing engineers, you've got a national agenda where your central party continually talks about putting Vietnam on the global map for innovation, for IP creation, and so on. And so you've got a national story, and you're also strategically positioned geographically and politically to attract a lot of partnerships. So if I think about, we've already heard from Korea, and you see Japan and many parts of Europe, and Australia is actually very, very keen on partnering with Vietnam. There's a lot of collaborations that already occur through Austrade and DFAT, Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade. So politically at a government level, there's lots of partnerships. And I can also say, watch this space for some new trade offices that are Australian trade offices that are going to be opening in Vietnam shortly. And these are key pathways and avenues for Vietnam to collaborate with Australia. It's really looking at what are the university connections, what are the research connections, what are the financial support connections, how do we build the trade agreements? We've already been hearing about the FTAs with Europe. There's also a very big Vietnamese population in Australia as well. And so actually building those networks, building those connections is incredibly important. For going the other way, for Australia, Vietnam can actually be a very powerful market as well. You're a very powerful gateway. So I think the real key, and this is one of the challenges I see for Vietnam at the moment, is really choosing what your value streams are. Pick your value streams and your value chains very carefully, and then target your relationship with Australia or any other country around specific value chains. I see too many countries try and do too many things and are not focused enough. And I really see that there are great opportunities between Australia and Vietnam, and as I say, trade offices at government level, investment level, and then even collaborations at startups. For example, I'll just name one, Go1, which is an Australian-based company, but was actually founded by Vietnamese founders. It's an educational platform, EdTech, works out of Australia, Brisbane, so it's literally about 20 minutes from my office, but most of the coders are in Ho Chi Minh City, and a fabulous company, a fabulous story, and a really good example of already how founders can collaborate between our two countries. So the main thing, choose your value stream, reach out and ask for introductions and connections. There's a massive appetite for collaboration.
Thank you so much. After this conference, we will have a longer webinar about this topic, just direct to Australia. So we go to Milan for a fashion one, but not only talking about fashion, we're talking about industry, we're talking about innovation, and how can we learn, how can we collaborate, special in factory on fashion and the other industry that you have mentioned with me before, Andre. So how can we do that for Vietnam and with Vietnam? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the introduction. First of all, I would like to say that in Italy, what I see in Italy, apart from my company, that we're doing in Italy in general, there are three main directions for innovation in our sector, which is fashion luxury. One is omni-channel retail, so everything about retail reaching consumers in a new way. Okay, this is a global trend now in the post-COVID era. Everybody's interested now how to reach, how to engage, how to have more loyal customers and so on. There are so many great ideas. Then second direction is a very important, the new direction is sustainability as a business. So sustainability in Europe, in Italy, is not an option anymore. It probably becomes the main trend, a must-have. And behind sustainability, there is so much things, of course. Especially on the material side, on the production and the design, everything that would make sense in a new world, which we will see in the future. And then the third direction is Industry 4.0, of course. But Industry 4.0, it could be so much. No, it's not only robots, of course, not only digitalization, is also all about recycling. You know, it's so at the end, what I want to say is that between omnichannel retail, sustainability, and Industry 4.0, the sense is that, at least for our sector, for fashion, is that we want to hurt much less the planet. No, we want to produce less. That's for sure. No, so produce more. It's not an objective, and especially not for innovators. We want to produce less, but make it better. We want to sell less, but reach better the right people, the right consumers. Now have them more engaged to the company, and so on. Now this is the main direction. Then after that, Italy has an old, an old tradition of being leader, in fashion, especially luxury, and now they are entering into this new era. So for Italy, it's not normal. It's not very clear what to do. No, so their way was exactly, as I say, to mix the 4.0, everything 4.0, so everything becomes AI driven. Artificial intelligence must be everywhere, but sustainability is the way to transform the traditional business into new business. Otherwise, there is a big risk to lose value. Now, why I'm telling this? That Vietnam is also a very particular, very interesting country. No? And when I say it in the introduction that Vietnam is a new China, I meant that Vietnam has to find its own mission on the market. No, so probably being exactly the China after many years, after China already won the world, and become the main country, supplier of just power, even brute power, not intelligent production power. I would say that we need to try together to understand what is the value, the unique value of Vietnamese innovation. No, so collaboration between Italy. And by the way, my company is not exactly Italian. I stay in Italy. No, my team is in Italy, but we are Spanish, or more to say European. No, so it would be nice to make a bridge, and also from Italian side, as I also said in the introduction, I am part of other innovative ecosystems. No, like Startup Bootcamp, for example. And they have exactly this vision. Now, Italy is a unique country. The Italian tradition is one thing. We don't want to lose it. So let's build a transition from old to new, thinking of the mission of how we are different. No? And I want to push and will do everything possible to help Vietnam industrial ecosystem to find its own way. No? So it's not just how to collaborate, connecting established and known approaches and best practices. I think we will need to find this unique way for Vietnam. No, the next, at least in our sector, no, in fashion and footwear, the prediction for the growth of Vietnamese market share is very, very bright. No, so for sure, Vietnam as producing power and source will grow. But how to make it more intelligent? No, not repeating just China 25 years ago. So that's it. I would say it's more a challenge. No, I'm not giving an answer because it's not so simple, right? I'm more trying to show the direction and how to avoid the mistakes. No, so innovation is not how to sell small companies to bigger European and American companies. No. It's how to work together and to understand the mission of Vietnam. How is it different, and bring and come, develop together this opportunity for Vietnam.
Thank you so much. We wish there's no COVID, and then there many things happen positive. But COVID make us think a lot. Our action, our thinking, our mindset, and our next plan for 2021. So our flight planning sound right Korean, but he fly back to Vietnam. So we met him in Hanoi, and then we fly back to Singapore again. Hello, Mr. Sean. Can you share how could like BK Holding, our organization, and the Red here could learn and could collaborate from Koreans, especially yourself and your network and your organization? Thank you.
Well, as far as collaboration between countries is concerned, Korea and Vietnam is probably the most active countries that we are collaborating, because there are hundreds of thousands, people, Korean living in Vietnam, and hundred thousands of people, Vietnamese living in Korea now, and there are so many students studying in Korea. I heard there's over 50,000 Vietnamese students learning in Korea now, studying Korea University. But as far as the area that I am interested, I think there are a lot of rooms for us to collaborate, and the angle that we can work together. If the area that I'm interested is one of area that I'm interested is AI technology, and you should be very proud. I mean, you have a very good not only the human resources but good technology in AI. So some companies are collaborating. The Korean company do the algorithm and design the engine, and you guys are doing the data labeling. That's what's happening. And also in regards to pharmaceutical field, Vietnam is far cost competitive in regards to clinical trials. So this of course, because of COVID, there's not much happening these days. But on one fine day, Vietnam is a very good field for clinical trials, and that's and also I mentioned previously we stress importance in human resources. So with a passion. So what we can do for you is, if you have a passion and a knowledge on some areas, then you can contact us for building ideas, because technology, as I said, we can bring it from Korea, and we can evaluate in Vietnam. For instance, you have a very I want you to concentrate on peculiar products that Vietnam only has. Something like Sam Ngoc Lin. This one the quality is very good. I heard very good. It's comparable with Korean ginseng. So what you can do, but problem of Sam Ngoc Lin is that it's hard to harvest. It's hard to cultivate. It only grows in mountains, right? But Korean ginseng was like that before, a long time ago. But they do the they modify its seed, and now we can cultivate and harvest in big numbers. So you can benchmark what Korea has done before with Korean ginseng. Then you can develop your Sam Ngoc as an international brand. Yeah, and one more thing, I want you to concentrate on peculiar diseases that Vietnam is suffering. Like, for instance, tuberculosis. This disease, a lot of countries are not, they don't care anymore because there's no cases. But Vietnam is still serious diseases, and that's what Vietnam peoples are suffering. So
try to do something on those areas. You start from the pain points of Vietnamese people. And as I said, technology is out there. You can bring in technology and, you know, help Vietnamese people. You know, for that I can help. You know, of course, tuberculosis medicine. There's no cure medicine yet, but we have some other test kits and things like that that I can you know, to help the diagnose you know, tuberculosis and other common diseases like liver-related diseases, because you guys drink a lot, yeah, like Koreans, yeah, and also brain stroke. And I heard that Vietnamese older generation, they're really, you know, cautious about brain stroke. Of course, other country does, but especially that area, you can concentrate on that area, right? So I think that's it.
Wonderful.
That's great.
Yeah, why not?
Tôi rất là muốn nối tiếp cái phần chia sẻ của anh. Câu hỏi của bạn Selena là làm sao mà để có thể học hỏi và hợp tác, và đâu là cái học hỏi và hợp tác, và tấm gương của người Hàn Quốc là như thế nào. Các bạn thân mến, đợt vừa rồi tôi có 3 tháng được học ở tập đoàn Samsung, tất nhiên là tại Việt Nam vì vướng Covid. Và các bạn ở Samsung thì có kể cho chúng tôi câu chuyện là cách đây 30 năm, hơn 30 năm, người Samsung thì phải đi học của người Nhật. Lúc đó thì tập đoàn Samsung học về hệ thống quản lý sản xuất của Toyota. Và lúc đấy thì hệ thống quản lý sản xuất của Toyota đã trở thành một đặc sản và khắp cả thế giới học họ, kể cả người Mỹ. Và cho đến nay thì tập đoàn Samsung họ đã xây dựng được một triết lý riêng, một hệ thống riêng, S, và đó là hệ thống quản lý sản xuất của Samsung. Và nó khiến cho người Samsung trong nhiều lĩnh vực đã vượt được người Nhật, cả về thương hiệu, cả về giá trị doanh nghiệp và cả về thị phần. Và ngày nay thì rất may mắn là người Việt Nam của chúng ta được học người Samsung, vừa người Samsung đã đến Việt Nam và chia sẻ và tập huấn lại cho chúng ta điều đấy. Có lẽ là sang năm thì tôi có thể được sang Samsung học 1 tháng. Và cái điều đầu tiên mà chúng tôi đang thực hành từ người Hàn Quốc đó là nếu bạn đến sự kiện đúng giờ, thì đúng giờ có nghĩa là phải sớm 5 phút trở lên thì gọi là đúng giờ. Và quay trở lại là trong những cái nội dung mà khi chúng tôi tham gia khóa học mà Samsung tập huấn thì Samsung có hướng dẫn chúng tôi về thế nào là Smart City và thế nào là Smart Factory. Đằng sau những cái chuyện là làm sao để số hóa, đằng sau những cái chuyện là làm sao để quy trình hóa, vận hành, và từ cái số hóa rồi quy trình tin học hóa, và để tạo ra những cái giá trị một cách tự động và tạo ra những cái sản phẩm và giá trị một cách thông minh, thì đằng sau những câu chuyện số hóa đấy thì ở người Hàn Quốc đó là tính kỷ luật, đó là sự tập trung, và đó là cả sự nhiệt thành và cả trung thành nữa, và cả sự hợp tác nữa. Không phải các bạn thấy là trong buổi nói chuyện ngắn của anh đã có đến 5 lần anh dùng từ passion. Thì tôi nghĩ rằng là chúng ta có thể không khó khăn lắm để học được về kỹ thuật, để học được về công nghệ, nhưng thực sự là để học được về sự nhiệt thành, sự trung thành, sự nhiệt tâm và sự kỷ luật, thì tôi nghĩ rằng là chúng ta, những người Việt Nam, thì chắc là chúng ta sẽ có cần thêm những cái trải nghiệm và cả cần thêm những cái trực tiếp mà tiếp xúc với cả những người nước ngoài, được làm việc, được trải nghiệm những cái văn hóa của họ. Thì đấy là một chút chia sẻ của chúng tôi. Và cụ thể là ở Việt Nam thì đối với cả lĩnh vực đổi mới sáng tạo và khởi nghiệp thì tôi cũng thấy là chúng ta cũng có những cái dấu ấn hết sức tích cực. Cái dấu ấn đầu tiên là Bộ Khoa học Công nghệ đã dành thời gian và để hợp tác với cả Hàn Quốc để hình thành nên Viện Đổi mới sáng tạo Việt Hàn. Và đây là một mô hình mà chúng ta học lại về Viện Đổi mới sáng tạo của Hàn Quốc. Một cái nữa mà Việt Nam chúng ta đang cố gắng và học hỏi đó là chúng ta mới có nghị định về đầu tư và nghị định về thúc đẩy đầu tư, về luật đầu tư. Và trong luật đầu tư đấy thì có một phần nhỏ nội dung về khuyến khích đầu tư cho đổi mới sáng tạo. Và ngày hôm nay thì Bộ Kế hoạch Đầu tư họ đang soạn thảo nghị định. Và một nội dung rất quan trọng của nghị định đấy đó là đối với nhà đầu tư nước ngoài mà đầu tư cho khởi nghiệp, mà họ chỉ đầu tư cho khởi nghiệp, thì gần như bỏ tất cả mọi cái thủ tục pháp lý để đăng ký, để chọn ngân hàng giám sát, xong rồi lại phải chọn ngân hàng lưu ký tài khoản. Và đấy là những cái thủ tục và vô cùng phức tạp và tốn tiền trong cái lĩnh vực mà đầu tư và tài chính. Hiện nay nhà đầu tư nước ngoài vào Việt Nam để đầu tư tài chính, thủ tục rất phức tạp, rất tốn kém. Nhưng mà nếu như mà tập trung đầu tư cho mạo hiểm thì gạt bỏ tất cả mọi cái thủ tục đấy. Và đấy cũng là những cái bước đầu tiên, hành trình đầu tiên mà tôi nghĩ Việt Nam chúng ta học hỏi và để muốn chào đón những nhà đầu tư nước ngoài cho lĩnh vực đầu tư cho khởi nghiệp. Xin hết.
Cảm ơn anh Hiệp rất nhiều. Thank you so much for your sharing and your own experience. So we go to 1 hour and 45 minutes to Singapore. And CK here in Indian entrepreneur based in many years in Singapore. So he know how India and Singapore to working successfully, and he can share how Vietnam can do that. CK, please share with us how Vietnamese and Vietnamese entrepreneurs could learn and collaborate to make our innovation ecosystem grow and develop with the other neighbor friend. Thank you.
Sure. So yeah, like Selena mentioned that I have been in Singapore for almost 17 years now. I came as a student to do my master's in robotics. By education, I am an engineer. I built complex systems and solutions for last 17, 18 years. So to make any hype a reality, I mean, we hear a hype every decade, something, a new terms comes in, whether AI, whether 5G, whether blockchain, a lot of these things will come and go. But what is required to make any this hype a reality? Basically, I would say three things are required. One is the talent of the young generation out there, whether Indians in Singapore or Vietnamese in Singapore, or Indians in Vietnam or Singapore in Vietnam. So talent is the key. Second area is the funding, because to do those things, we do need investment and the funding. And third part is the market, right? Without any market, no matter how good technology you have, how good talent you have, you don't have anything to sell to, right? So these are the three things which I think Singapore has done very well. And Singapore, as you know, called a gateway to Southeast Asia and ASEAN, and has been driving. And I've seen transition of Singapore itself in last 18 years. I remember the population when I came, it was 3.5 million population, now 5.5 million population. There used to be manufacturing, now there's no manufacturing. How it has transformed itself from manufacturing place to innovation place is, I think, Vietnam can learn from. And these are the three areas, as I mentioned, the talent. So talent should be collaboration across two countries. It could be university to universities. It could be startup ecosystem to startup ecosystems, or it could be just individuals talking to each other. Right? The more you talk, the more you learn. That's how I learned. I learned by talking to the CXOs and talking to the young students who I teach. Right? Second area is funding. As you know, Singapore is kind of a financial hub, and a lot of investment actually made in Singapore. Whether those are Indian companies or Vietnamese companies, typically the deal closed in Singapore. So this is where I think Vietnam ecosystem could also work closely. And I personally know quite a number of investors from Series A to seed or angels. Maybe we could build some collaboration together, a larger pool of the investment ecosystem where we can help the talent in Vietnam basically with some funding support where they can take it to the next level. And thirdly, like I said, the market. If you look at Vietnam as a market, there are certain industry which I think it can focus on. My previous speakers also mentioned about certain industries, whether it's into fashion or clothing industry or manufacturing. In fact, we have a client in Vietnam right now as we speak. One of the large German company we are working with is a manufacturing plant in Vietnam, where we are doing a digital transformation for Factory 4.0. So Vietnam is growing market, but also Vietnam have to figure it out where they want to be, because Singapore, as we learned that we can't do manufacturing here, is too expensive unless you do very advanced manufacturing. And yesterday there was an announcement by Dyson, which is a UK company, making $1 billion investment in Singapore, but not to do low value manufacturing, but advanced high value manufacturing. So similarly, Vietnam should also look into, if they're focusing on manufacturing, are they going into low value, high volume production, or high value, low volume production, right? Or which kind of market, which kind of industry they need to serve. So once these three areas are understood very clearly, I think these are the three areas Singapore has been supporting most of our ASEAN region, whether it's Thailand, Vietnam, China. Obviously, we have very good relations. I'm sure we will be more than too happy to support. And personally, from my side, I'm always there to connect. So if you have any queries, please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn or my email address. Like I said, I'm personally looking into Vietnam as a market for our own business. We're doing some work already. If it wasn't for COVID, I would have been sitting next to Selena maybe in this panel. So look forward to collaborate with Vietnam ecosystem and help to grow not just Vietnam and Singapore, maybe the larger regional ecosystem in this whole startup focus areas. Technology are great, but don't get too fancy with the technology. Like I said, technologies comes and go. Those are just enablers. Once we understand how to use the technology, what problems are we solving, there's always somewhere or other to solve those things. Yeah, so that's my three takeaway on talent, investment, and the market.
Thank you so much. Wonderful for learning a lot from the other continental, the other country, and the other experts from different industries. Thank you so much for listening our panels. Last but not least, TechFest and International Village just start of one big game. That's how the other country innovation ecosystem, like from North Europe, North American, Asians, and Vietnam, could do more and more together after this TechFest. So if you guys would like to join and would like to learn and want to do something for Vietnam and with the other countries, just write your name and put your contact, and my team can contact later for more information. The game starts from December, and the webinar and the offline conference around September and October next year. But activity we start from December. So next month, TechFest chapter a starter. Thank you so much. We have a lot of things to do, but time is limited. So thank you so much for your joy and your sharing, Mr. Jolie, Mr. Hip, and CK, Andre, and Tony. See you guys later. And
Thanks everyone. Have a good weekend and all the best to all of you.
Thank you so much, Miss Selena, Mr. Jamie, and our speakers. So TechFest 2020 is a huge opportunity for collaboration among organizations and individuals as well. And today we are very happy to announce the MOU signing ceremony between a venture builder and a venture capital. That is WCF Impact Venture Builder and SMC No Technology Investment. We would like to introduce Mr. Sean Lee, CEO of SMC No Technology Investment, and Ms. Selena, founder and managing director of WCF Impact Venture Builder, to participate in the signing ceremony.
So, as you know, Mr. Shirley just mentioned about they focus more about biotech and medtech, and we are WSAFE. We have three payloads: deep techs, biotech, and new material, to supporting for doctor, hospital, and of course patient more solution. So that's why we have collaboration to have startup from very early to IPO, hopefully for Vietnam. Thank you so much. So that's why we have the MOU for the next step.
Okay, yeah. Please stay here for photography. Thank you so much, Mr. Charlie and Miss Selena. Thank you so much. And we have another MOU to be signed today. That is among WSAFE, Sinh Tươi Online, Ohana Vietnam, Move Up, Amplify Vietnam, EPG, Vietnam Yacht Cruise, and Lagoon Vietnam. I would like to introduce Ms. Selena, Managing Director from WSAFE, Mr. Tuấn Ngô, Founder and CEO of Sinh Tươi Online, Mr. Võ Nguyễn Kim Khôi, CEO of Vietnam Yacht Cruise, Mr. Jamie Ducan, Co-founder of Move Up, Mr. Thành Nguyễn, Founder and CEO of Amplify Vietnam, and Mr. Lê Trung Thông, Founder and CEO of Lagoon Vietnam, Mr. Trung Đình, Founder and CEO of EPG. Yeah. Welcome to the stage to join the MOU signing ceremony.
Và em xin mời anh Phạm Tùng Lâm, anh Cường lên chứng kiến buổi ký kết của 8 tổ chức này cho support các hoạt động về đổi mới sáng tạo của Việt Nam. Mời anh Lâm và anh chị Mỹ Nga và anh Danh chứng kiến cho 8 tổ chức này cho những hoạt động tiếp theo. Dạ em mời anh. And Thái Văn Luân. He has Vietnamese names.
Yeah. So let's sign. And once you sign, please move to your right so that others can sign. Thank you. Let's move to your right again. Yeah, we're playing a game. Oh, Mr. Thành, your signature is so similar to mine. That's the destiny. Mang luôn đi em ơi, mang luôn đi, mang luôn. I think I have so many little moments in my life that I can sigh that much. Eight at the same time. Oh, we're about to finish. Oh, really, anh? Oh, no more? Thank you so much. Yeah, one more. Cho em một bản nữa, cho em một bản cho chị Selena. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, and here is our second panel discussion with speakers from different countries. Yeah. Okay. I would love to invite Mr. Paul, founder and CEO of MoveUp, here who will join me to be the moderator for this discussion. Yeah, welcome to the stage.
Good afternoon,
Mr.
everyone.
Paul.
Xin chào các bạn. How are you? Good afternoon. All right, let's get this started. But before anything else, allow me to greet on camera people who are watching from the Philippines. Mabuhay po. I know the Philippines Startup Week is also watching us live on Facebook. We also have a team from Thai Tech Group who's watching us live. So, Sawadee Kap Thailand, Mabuhay Philippines, and Xin Chào Vietnam. Welcome to our second panel discussion for this afternoon.
Yeah, thank you so much, Paul. You're always so dynamic.
Yes.
Yeah, and I love to moderate this with you. But first, can you introduce a little bit about yourself?
Oh, about myself? I'm not prepared for that. So for 5 years, I was the marketing director of VietnamWorks.com. And for the last 3 years, I'm a full-time entrepreneur and angel investor, focusing on HR technology. Of course, capitalizing on my background on VietnamWorks.
Oh.
So without further ado, Ms. Kathy, allow me to invite our panelists.
Yeah, please.
All right. Okay, first up, we have the fantastic Mr. Thij Van Loom, the founder and CEO of BetterWorks Asia, entrepreneur in residence of Swiss Entrepreneur Program. Sir, welcome to the panel.
Thank you. And then we have Mr. Nguyễn Thành Danh, Country Director based in healthcare from France in Vietnam.
Welcome, sir. Next up, we have Mr. Hom Chang, founder and chairman of Gut It Inc., Steam for Vietnam Foundation. Mr. Hom.
And then we have Mr. Nguyễn Võ Kim Khôi, CEO Vietnam of Yacht Cruise and CEO and founder of Food Travel.
And last but definitely not the least, Mr. Thanh Nguyen, founder and CEO of Amplify Vietnam. All right. All right, our topic today, Ms. Kathy, is very important. It's, I think, about how do we make Vietnamese startups go global. All right, let's kick up the conversation with the first question. Miss Kathy, what do we have?
Wow, it's during after COVID, right? So there's the question of what startup should do in this situation to target international markets. And maybe we spend this question for Mr. Thai, as you have so much experience about this. Yeah.
Thank you. So, especially when it comes to international markets, basically what I do, maybe just a bit of background, is I teach people communication skills, sales and negotiation skills to ensure that you can actually reach your customer much more effectively and easily. Now this is really important because especially when you work across the border, it's so important that you can actually connect with the people who you are going to sell to or present your idea to. And I find that when I work with startups here in Vietnam, people have fantastic ideas. They really do. And they sometimes struggle to make these ideas known and insightful for the people who they talk to. So for me, one of the main things that entrepreneurs in Vietnam need to learn and need to develop for themselves is that not only that they are able to clearly and concisely describe what it is that they do, but also that they're able to figure that out from the other end. So that people learn how to ask the right questions. That people learn how to figure out what the pain is on the other side. And through that, what specific solution they can provide for the people overseas. Because that is the stuff that is really going to connect what Vietnamese startups do with what it is that people need at the other side of the world, right? Whether that it's a country like next door, or whether it's like completely at the other side, Australia, United States, you name it. Right? So for me, that's one of the key features that I think Vietnamese startups need to take on and need to learn more about.
Do we represent our products properly in the international market, and also operating in an empathetic view, so that you truly understand what the market needs and provide a product and a solution that is suitable for that market, whether that is in Vietnam or in an international landscape, correct?
Exactly right.
All right. So we heard the mentor's side. Can we hear the entrepreneur side on this question? So Mr. Tan, allow me to ask the question. What should startups do during and post-COVID to target international markets? Pretty much the same question, but on the entrepreneur's perspective.
All right, so myself as a very young startup, so my business now is just about less than 2 years, and unluckily it went over the COVID pandemic period. So I believe that as Thavilong just share about the strategy or something, but to me it's more about, it's also a time for me to reassess, re-evaluate, or review what is my business, like core values and the core things that core products and the proposition that I want to make or I want to bring to the market, especially with the global market, and with that change and opportunities, I also think that I also have the disadvantage to, because I'm somehow disconnected with the global market. I cannot go there to directly speak to the people there to know what's their needs and the wants for the product or the solution that can help them to go over, to overcome their problems, for example. So I believe that in this kind of specific events like TechFest, this is also opportunity for me to connect with other businesses, other ecosystem from global, so that I can learn a lot from them. And that's the way I think it's more about learning.
Yeah, I see some alignment here, Mr. Taj and Mr. Tan. It's really going back, taking this moment as an opportunity to reflect who you are, what your business stands for, and how do you want to be known and remembered.
as an individual and as a business? And I think that both answers from Mr. Thaj, who's the mentor, and Mr. Tan, who's an entrepreneur, aligns in this way, something that we can probably take out from this question. What's our next question, Ms. Kathy?
Well, before coming to the next question, I remember that last time we have a webinar with Mr. Thanh, right? It's great to hear his stories about Amplify Vietnam, to adapt, to improvise, and to make pivot. Yeah, to sustain and develop your company here. So, and the next question is about investment, and this one I would love to spend for Mr. Hùng. Yeah, so Mr. Hùng have come back to Vietnam after it's a long and brave journey. So, during and post-COVID, what do you think the investment around the world look like?
Well, actually, I'm not doing a lot of investment to be the right person to answer this question. However, I believe that after the pandemic, people will be a lot more careful about what kind of business they are in, right? So if you see that most of the business that spend a lot of money for growth, like the burning money, they not survive the COVID-19. And then from that point, pretty much the investment community start to think a lot about how they can see the business post-COVID. And at the same time, COVID actually opened a lot of opportunities for people to come up with new products and services, because the COVID-19 taught us that we are not ready. Everything we know about, everything we produce is not ready to COVID, because this is the first time in history the world is pretty much shut down. So I think that if someone come up with a new kind of business or a new product or service that can leverage from COVID-19, so next time something like this happens, we still survive. That's what people are looking for at the moment as well, because it can open the whole new opportunity. Right? So that's from my observation. However, I'm not an investor, so it will be tough to answer this question correctly.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Hùng. It's an perspective of an entrepreneur. Yeah. So COVID is just like a fire to test the goal, as I shared with Mr. Paul previously. Not only from investment, but also from fundraising for the startup co-founders. And after the investment, I know that Paul has some questions about the Vietnamese startup. So Paul, maybe you can ask the next question.
Maybe I'll ask Mr. Khoi about what can Vietnamese startups learn from your businesses and projects?
Our business now, hello everybody. Our business now is about yacht service. Of course, we base it on the tourism industry. And tourism is the industry that we influence from COVID is the most, and now we don't have more international customer, and also in domestic customer we also low down, because the payment for people now is low also. So that's why. But now we still build to create a new startup. It's been Vietnam Yacht Cruise VNYC. And we based on the platform like Uber and Grab, but we use the free yacht people. Yes, it's the same. Yeah, the same. And the same thinking that we learn from people is, and the same thinking that we learn from people is how to run the platform that every people can understand, can know, and can connect with our platform. And in this situation, to join the TECHFEST VNYC, to be a sponsor unit, and we want to go below with you to have the staff in our country. Yeah, that is the way.
That's awesome. I think tourism is one of the most heavily impacted industries, and it only shows what kind of entrepreneur you are when you're faced in adversities, and then you create new things, and then you innovate, and then you adapt. And that's, I think, a very powerful example. On Mr. Yan, you're coming from a pharmaceutical background. How's the industry of now, and what do you think Vietnamese startups can learn from your business?
Okay. Thanks for the question. So my background is pharmaceutical and healthcare. Actually, I'm a doctor. So for during the COVID, so quite a lot of changing. So the first time in the world, like you mentioned, pharmaceutical and healthcare, they change a lot. So now when people talking about everything, even the business, they're talking about the healthcare is the first point of view. Biotech globally, they change quite significantly. And in Vietnam, luckily, we do not dealing with that because in Vietnam, we control COVID very well. But the trend, we cannot stay there. Even we say other that happen, not our, but we have to adapt to the change. And especially in biotech, medtech, pharmaceutical in Vietnam, we very influenced and we follow the international player. So to be prepared for that, for the local people here, that quite importantly. For us, let's say digital transformation in healthcare is right now a key for growth. Some people they saying that if they move to global or go further region, how they can, because in the other country they're more developed in Vietnam in terms of the healthcare infrastructure, the government support, the financing structure, so they worry about that. But they say go global, you not go alone. You have to have an ecosystem, the startup ecosystem. So talking in the very beginning and the panel one, you can see that how we connect the resources. For healthcare, absolutely that the tech and the advanced core ecosystem is quite importantly. So connecting with the people in global, that's also the way to go global as well. So that's my point.
Yeah, talking about going global and connection, the panel won't be complete if we don't have an investor on the panel. So allow me to invite Mr. Olivier to join us on the panel discussion. Sir, good afternoon. Ms. Kathy, I'll just go back to the question earlier about investments.
Yeah.
Since Mr. Olivier is here.
Yeah. That's for Mr. Olivier. So, hi, Olivier. Yeah, our question is about investment. So, what does investment during post-COVID look like? Yeah, from your perspective of a venture capital.
Okay, so first of all, sorry for being late and thanks for having me. So, I'm one of the co-founders of Phoebe. It's a venture capital firm for Vietnam, Southeast Asia in technology. We started the fund earlier this year, so for us, we are kind of a COVID native fund. We integrate COVID in our investment thesis since day one. So no big change so we focus on the same categories, on the same, I would say, countries. We mainly pay attention on two things. First is the fact that the round should be large enough in order to have a bit more security. So we look at least 2 to 3 years of run rate for the startups. And on top of that, we mainly invest in business who have a clear profitability path and a kind of sustainable growth, because we know it's tough to fundraise. So in some model where it's kind of a bit too risky, or we don't really go at the moment. But I would say it's business as usual. There are many opportunities at the moment. You have more new founders and new startups who are leaving whatever, Gojek or Grab or Tiki, and they're creating startups. You have existing startups which are fundraising because they need a bit more cash and do more pre-round. So you have more opportunities. On the other side, the operating costs are getting cheaper because the rents are going down, salary potentially going down, marketing costs also. So the substance value ratio is pretty good at the moment. And you have also less investor. So the price are slightly going down. So definitely it's better to invest during tough time and sell during peak time rather than doing the other way around. So it's not a bad moment to invest, I would say.
Thank you, Mr. Olivier. So during after COVID, not only for VC but also for startups, the sustainable growth is more and more the focus. Yeah, and it's also the concern of so many organizations who support startups as well. So in Vietnam, we're trying to find solutions and connect resources to support that sustainable growth. And talking about resource in Vietnam and outside of Vietnam, so I have this, the next question, okay, for Mr. Hùng again. So you have a business in both Vietnam and US. So how do you think we can connect the resource in and out of Vietnam to take Vietnamese startups go global? So it's just a kind of lesson. So how can I learn from you?
Thank you. So I think that for us, we from day one of the business, we try to divide what we are doing into different parts, and then we see which part we can do from where. So for example, because we are focusing on the US market, so definitely the product management, product design, and business need to be in the US. And at the same time, we know that engineer we can do in Vietnam. So we built the engineering team in Vietnam. And later on, when we have to add the data science part to the company, and then we try different way, and then we found that the Indian team would be the best. So that's why that the principle is very, very simple. See who can do some part of the business best at the kind of reasonable costs, and then we can ship the function into that area. So that's how we operate at Got It.
Yeah, so there's the diversity. Yeah? So how many nationalities are there in your company right now?
So in the US, in San Francisco, we have 30 people, and then yeah, they're from many different parts of the world. Some from the US, some from India, some from China, so some from South Korea, and then yeah, the team in India, of course, everyone is Indian, and then in the team in Vietnam, actually we have the local engineer over here, and then we have some people that we bring from US to work with us here. So we have about 80 people here in Vietnam and 6 people in India.
Oh, that's great. That's a big team, huh? And besides the resource, in and after COVID, startups face a lot of challenges. So I would like to spend the next questions for Paul. Yeah. Okay, another surprise. Sorry. So as a Filipino entrepreneur in Vietnam and have experience with Vietnam work and then move up and up. So what do you think? What do you see as the challenges that faced by foreign-owned startups in Vietnam?
Okay, boys, don't relax. I'm gonna pass you the question after I answer it. Challenges, I think for us, 3 years ago, when I first opened the company, I was selling a remote work management platform. And everybody was laughing at me. Like, why do we need a remote work management platform, right? I left Vietnam Works to open that company.
In which year?
2017 or something like that.
Oh,
yeah. When I left Vietnam Works, I created that platform to help companies manage people remotely. And my friends who are CEOs, HR directors in Vietnam are saying, why do we need a management tool to make our people work from home? And then when COVID happened, finally we got sat back in and etc. So we didn't really have a lot of challenges internally. Our challenge is external because the way we close deals changed. It's no longer I have to fly to Thailand to re-sign PTT, which is a oil company there, one of our clients, right? It's no longer that. We need to close that kind of deal online. And how do you do that? That's the biggest challenge for us. But for our clientele, definitely a big challenge is internal. I want to pass the question to Taj. Taj, what's your take on this one?
So basically, around setting up my own. Well, the whole trick for a foreign-owned company in Vietnam is that, well, first of all, of course, like, you need to understand the market a little bit before you know where you can jump in. And that always takes some time. And I think each of us who is an international investor or an international startup in Vietnam, does that kind of in their own way, right? In my case, what happened was I worked for about a year with a Vietnamese business partner. But in that time, I also found out what I really enjoyed about Vietnam and what really made Vietnam tick, and what especially how I could make good connections with Vietnamese business owners who might want to work with me. But the trick is then when you work together with other people to stay focused on what it is that you want to achieve and that you want to do. And that is what I found at some stage was drifting away. And that's why about 10 months ago, I started my own startup with what I had learned in my first year in Vietnam, or my first year and a half in Vietnam, but also where I literally just followed my passion. Right? The reason why I do what I do is that I am utterly passionate about developing people's skills. That is what I do. And I don't really care how I do it, as long as I see that people are developing themselves. And once I understood better what the Vietnamese market was about, it also made me understand better and easier, well, where is there still a disconnect between what people need, but also what they understand about human development when it comes to working in Vietnam. And once I understood that better, I could much easily have the conversations with people in Vietnam to make sure that they understood what I do, but especially that they understand and that you understand how it impacts how successful you are in your work. And that was a journey, right? And I'm still on it, but it's starting to take shape.
Awesome. And Yan, do you have an addition for this one?
So your question in terms of the foreigner,
yes,
yeah. Actually, my company in corporate level, they also have some difficulty in terms of the everything in business in order the headcount we cut down and everything is top. For Vietnam business, so our difficult that how we can change our business model, because pharmaceutical in my background and also in the other my investing partner as well. So the way we deal with the customer is change. So when we have an event, for example, to make education and activity for doctor, so now we cannot meet them at the person. So we had to change quite a lot. So we have to, within 2 months, we develop 3 platforms. So we have to have a digital transformation team in very emergency way. So try to figure out that, so to combine between how we can meet them in the virtual CME online, something like that, together with how we can work with our team for CRM, work with the third party for distribution, or something like that. So that really challenge in that time. But after a while, that we learned quite a lot. So digital transformation in very beginning that top, but later on we can reduce a lot of costs and other. So back to our talk with our friend here. So how to try to maximize, and I think that in the risk we also have opportunity. So maybe next coming 1 or 2 years when the business model is changing, we are really can see how we can move and to keep the momentum for that. Why we try to handle.
You know what's amazing here, Kathy, is like I'm observing, regardless you're a startup or you're a full-grown business like Anyan, for example, you're still going through the same process of digital transformation and really finding your new place in the new normal, right? Because if you stay how you operate before, you're not going to be relevant. You're not going to survive. You're not going to thrive. Regardless you're a startup, regardless you're a built company already, and it's amazing that we're embracing change.
Yeah,
like
and challenges comes together with opportunities. That we've seen the changes in terms of mindset, and then improvisation in operation, adaptation. Yeah, and I would love to go into details about some case study of your startups and companies so that we can have some lessons here, especially for the young students here. Yeah, they come from different universities around Hanoi and they would love to hear your lessons. Maybe I spend these questions for Mr. Thành. Yeah, anh Thành with Amplify Vietnam. So maybe can you share a case study about your business, how you adapt and make breakthrough in the current climate?
Well, firstly, I don't think that I have a lot of like good case study or lesson learned for all of us here to learn from, but maybe from my previous experience with KPMG in Vietnam and Cambodia,
Yeah, that's
maybe
nice.
Because there's something that previously, maybe before the crisis or before the pandemic or virus, we didn't think that can be changed. But during the pandemic or crisis, there's something that permanently changed, like the work from home arrangement, for example. And from that specific new arrangements, we can also save a lot of cost from that as well. That can be for example, currently in KPMG, that we apply that the people, HR team apply that model for the future as well. So people can choose to work from home or anywhere that they can feel comfortable with and can think that they can deliver the work still effectively. So be open to anything new that we think that can be benefit for ourselves, for our business, and for our community. So be open, I think. So that.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Thành. And how about you, Mr. Khôi?
Hello. The case study of Vietnam Jet Cruise in this time is how to survive in this COVID. When we sit together, some co-founder of VNYC, we learn from the lesson of the failed situation of some company after COVID, and we think that the traditional way we learn, the traditional way we work on tourism industry is not good. Yeah, we consider that, and we think that the way we learn is how to promote our products, how to let people know about our products, and we think that some of change occasion, some of people come to us and tell us about the way to build a new platform, and the situation is insignificant is our change. We have changed our thinking to build the tourism products that we how can we okay.
Let's go for Vietnamese.
Okay, I will try to explain my case study in Vietnamese. Okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
Ok, được ra đời trên nền tảng của một cái hợp tác của Greenlight Holding và một cái quỹ đầu tư của Thái Lan, SRE. Thì chúng tôi có một cái sự tư vấn liên quan về công nghệ để kích hoạt lại cái hoạt động của du lịch sau cái hoạt động của Covid. Và nền tảng của chúng tôi xây dựng trên việc là tạo ra các sản phẩm của dịch vụ du thuyền, trên cái việc là tận dụng những cái du thuyền nhàn rỗi của mọi người ở trên không chỉ ở thành phố Hồ Chí Minh, ở Hà Nội và ở các tỉnh thành khác. Và từ ý tưởng đó chúng tôi lại có một cái cơ duyên nhận được cái sự giúp đỡ của nhiều cái nhà đầu tư cũng như một số nhà tư vấn, và nó đã phát triển Vietnam Jet Cruise trên một cái nền tảng mới. Thứ nhất là ứng dụng công nghệ trong việc đặt dịch vụ du thuyền. Thứ hai là tư vấn thương mại hoạt động du thuyền nhàn rỗi. Chúng ta thấy rằng là có một lượng lớn dòng tiền đầu tư cho du thuyền, nhưng mà mọi người lại chưa có những cái ứng dụng liên quan về quản trị, liên quan về bán cái sản phẩm đó. Cho nên chúng tôi làm cái vai trò tư vấn. Và phần thứ ba, mở rộng hơn nữa mà chúng tôi thấy một cái cơ hội lớn để đưa cái sản phẩm du thuyền của Việt, tức là bản thân ở Việt Nam chúng ta có thể đóng được du thuyền. Và cái cơ hội để chúng ta mang du thuyền Việt ra bên global cũng là một cái cơ hội rất là lớn. Và song song với nền tảng đó, chúng tôi được tiếp cận với một cái ý tưởng mới. Trên cái sự gia tăng của mực nước biển, trên sự cái hiện trạng mà tình trạng của lũ lụt vân vân, thì chúng tôi đã có những cái tư vấn liên quan về cái nhà nổi. Và cao hơn nữa, dịch vụ luxury hơn nữa là chúng tôi có thể tư vấn được những cái dịch vụ liên quan về cái resort nổi, hệ thống resort nổi, tức là cách chúng ta đấu nối những cái nhà nổi với nhau thành một cái khu liên hoàn để thành khu resort. Và song song với những resort nổi đó, chúng tôi có thể tư vấn cho các tỉnh thành liên quan về xây dựng điểm đến gắn liền với sông nước. Và du thuyền là một câu chuyện là connect tất cả những cái điểm đến đó. Và thứ hai, chúng ta vượt qua một cái kết nối của Vietnam Jet Cruise đối với cộng đồng ở trong nước. Nó còn thông qua một cái kênh truyền thông của câu lạc bộ Bách Gia Trăm Họ. Và đây là câu chuyện mà chúng tôi đang tính đến chuyện là sẽ mở ra những cái câu chuyện kết nối các cái điểm đến dọc theo sông Hồng, dọc theo cái bờ biển của Việt Nam bằng du thuyền. Và chúng tôi kết nối các câu chuyện về nền tảng văn hóa, kết nối các dòng họ, kết nối các điểm đến và kết nối các dịch vụ du lịch của các tỉnh thành. Đó là nền tảng mà Vietnam Jet Cruise chúng tôi đang triển khai cái phần đó.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Khôi.
I think I'll be one of the first customers there, Miss Kathy.
Yeah.
I'm going to get your name card after the panel discussion. Just for the interest of time and for the topic, can we go one round from Mr. Home to Mr. Olivier, and let's finish the sentence. If you want to go global, you should blank.
For me, to build a global product. Right? If you don't have the good products, don't even think about it.
Yeah, totally agree with you.
Same for us. So the biotech, medical, and healthcare. So that's the good product concept. So how to know the consumer behavior and sentiment they change after the COVID quite a lot for healthcare sector. So understand the global perception of the consumer behavior, and also have absolutely the good product is happy there, but to be more than that, there should be a consumer behavior and to the healthcare that quite importantly.
Yeah, Mr. Khôi, please. Yeah. So you have so many message, to the startups today. So what is the most important one?
The most important one is difficult is a change. Difficult makes you change to think, to change your thinking, and make your new opportunity. Yeah.
Can't agree with you more. Yeah, Mr. Thái.
So the sentence was to go global. To go global, you should understand exactly what your clients' pains and issues are and connect your solution or product exactly to what they need.
Yeah, Mr. Thành.
It does.
Yeah, please share more.
But it needs to go deeper than that, right? I mean, there's product market fit, but product market fit is, in my experience, lots of time literally where people do research, where people send out a questionnaire, and through that understand exactly what their product needs to look like. The point is that when you talk to your individual customers, there are always these specific things that they find really important. And lots of time we are skipping over what specific things people find important and just try to kind of like wholesale the product that we have. And that is what I mean by exactly understanding your audience and the pain point of the people who you serve your product to. And the best way to do that is to learn how to ask these questions and how to dig deeper, so you know exactly what these pain points are, and through that build the solution that connects. Right? That is how I think people are and startups are successful, overall. Thanks. Good to, happy that you actually summarized that. So I can summarize it more.
Thank you, Mr. Thai. Yeah.
All right. So my message will be, in order to go global, you should think global, right?
Mindset first.
Especially from the early stage of startups. So when we have an idea, when we experience one specific problem or issue, we should ask if other people have that too. Other people around it in other community have that too. Other people in other country have that too. So in order to solve that global problem, should we have any specific solution to meet those needs around the world, not only our need or our community need?
So to go global from Vietnam, I would either focus on gaming businesses or on SaaS for SMBs. It looks like that the two plays that you can execute from here. And even before being, fully global and too much a market, I would rather focus on some other emerging markets here in Southeast Asia, Africa, Russia, Latin America, where you have a bit more similarities in terms of consumption and work habits.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Olivier.
Thank you, sir. I think we have very diverse. Sir, you have a question?
Actually, this is a question that I really like to add, because I spent like 23 years out of Korea, and when I first left Korea, Korea was not that globally big country. So when I was working out of Korea, this was the question that I always get from Korean companies, Korean banks. All the Korean corporate ask me, "Sir, how can we be global?" And the question that I asked to them was, "Oh, is your product number one in Korea?" And they say no. And they say, I say, "Don't even think about it. Be number one locally, in domestic first, and think about going global." That was my question. And if you look at Hyundai, Samsung, those guys were number one in Korea first, and then became global. In 20, 30 years time, nobody knew what Samsung was, what Hyundai was. So before you think about, of course, all your startup ideas has to start from to the extent of globalization. But before you go global, you have to be number one in Vietnam first. That's what you should do.
Yeah, thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you so much,
Shanley.
Mr. Sean. To close, I think Ms. Kathy is a startup founder. For those who wants to be a startup founder or is already there, congratulations, you survived the lockdown. Give yourself a tap on the back. I think a piece of advice, if you want to go global, you make sure you know your why and you enjoy the process. So you're strong enough the next time you face something difficult. And that's what makes an entrepreneur. If you want to go global, you need to be strong from deep here.
Yeah, thank you, Paul, for wrapping it up. So before the discussion come to an end, maybe there are some questions from our audience for our speakers today. So anyone, please raise your hand. Young students, you may have some questions to learn from our speakers today.
They usually charge $500 an hour, so.
Yeah, that's a big opportunity
I think
here.
the panel is very clear, Miss Kathy. We'll wrap it up from here. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope everyone enjoyed the panel. We'll hope to see you again in the next TechFest 2021. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Very dynamic.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
We would like to invite everyone